back from hell, back from hell, back from hell, back from hell. Yeah, soldiers, it's what-ifs coming to you in a video, and this is Legacy Chapters 50 to 52. I hope you guys are ready for this. I know I am, but before we get into this, shout out to all you guys for commenting and requesting it. Again, I usually have to take a break from some of these sometimes considering how long they are, but we're back from hell right now with Legacy, and I'm gonna make sure that you guys get this thing finished by who knows when, but I'm gonna make sure I finish this series. That's all I can promise. Anyways, in terms of some of the other stuff, well, shout out to my social medias and my other plugs, and we can get right into chapter 50, which is a fated meeting. Here we go. Chapter 50, a fated meeting. Amagakur no Sato, otherwise known as the Hidden Rain Village. This is a small yet highly industrialized hidden village. Its architecture is composed of several metallic skyscrapers with road ducts connected to them and many power lines surrounding. As its name suggests, it rains almost constantly due to a storm above the village. All the water seemingly ends in a large lake that surrounds the village. History has always been grim for this village. Located in the middle of the 5 great nations didn't exactly help much either. While this location was excellent as it provided good trade routes that boosted the village's economy, it also had problems, and the main one was war. The Rain Village and many other small villages would always get caught up in the battles of the 5 great nations. Even if they chose to remain neutral, they were dragged into endless conflict until one side admitted defeat. This was what had happened during the last Great Ninja Wars. The Second Great Shinobi War had crippled the village as she stood between 3 of the great nations. Konoha, led by Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, Iwa, led by Oonoki, the Sandaime Tsuchikage, and Suna, led by their Sandaime Kazekage, and the wielder of the Iron Sand bloodline. Ame and their leader Salamander Hanzo was forced to participate in this battle, and during it, the Sannin were born. And then came the 3rd and last Great Ninja War, a war that managed to involve all of the 5 great nations. Out of those 5, the Fire and the Earth country clashed with unprecedented fierceness, and Ame paid the price by being the battlefield. By the end of it, the Hidden Rain Village was in total chaos, thousands dead, and even more injured. The surviving became nothing more than war refugees, surviving as the years passed by. Eventually, Hanzo was removed from power by none other than Uzumaki Nagato, or as he is known, Pain. He defeated and killed Hanzo and every one of his followers, becoming the new leader of the Rain Village. Pain, the self-entitled god of peace, rules the Rain Village with an iron fist, and anyone who disobeys him gets killed. The Diva Path, or Yahiko's body being controlled by Nagato, stood on the tallest building in the village, Pain's Tower, as the building was called. From there, Nagato could see to the far ends of his village, right to the gates. It made him a higher power to anyone below as he stood watching over his village, untiring and unyielding. Good job. Pain turned around from his balcony on the tower to gaze at the owner of the voice. Toby was standing in the room wearing the usual black cloak with red clouds, as expected, his orange mask in place, with the right Sharingan glowing behind it. Toby, Pain said as he watched the man slowly approach him. With the zombie captured, we now have 5 of the 9 Bijus. Nibi from Kumo, Sambi and Rokubi from Kiri, and the Yombi and Gobi from Iwa, Toby said, and Pain nodded. The Akatsuki had already captured 5 of the 9 Biju. They had targeted these Jinchurikis since they had no backing from their village. Utakata, Roshi, and Han traveled alone through the elemental nations, making them easy targets for the Akatsuki members. The zombie was released, so Pain took him down and captured him. and Yugito had simply been ambushed in a mission, and thus giving the Akatsuki the Nibi. What will we do about the rest? Pain asked. The Hashibi will be harder to get since we will most likely have to go for the Raikage as well. Then we will need the Ichibi, Nanabi, and finally the Kyubi, Pain said, and Toby nodded. Neither of those 4 will be easy to take. The Raikage will be a problem, and the Kyubi brat has grown strong, Toby said, sighing. We already have the Kyubi's chakra from that fire temple kid Sora, sealed in a statue, Pain neutrally said, but Toby chuckled. And you think Naruto will just stand by and watch us take the other Biju? For reasons I don't understand, he made his personal mission to stop us. You heard what he said in the meeting. He's going to hunt us down. Toby chuckled, but Pain remained unchanged. No one will stop my quest. Anyone that becomes an obstacle will simply be removed with extreme prejudice, Pain replied in his monotone voice until his Rinnegan began glowing as he focused on Toby. Even you, Toby. I know that you are not Uchiha Madara like you claimed, and frankly, I don't care as long as you stay out of my way, Pain said, and Toby chuckled. You forget your place, Nagato, Toby warned. I was the one that taught you how to properly control the Rinnegan. You should be more respectful to your betters, Toby said, with his Sharingan glowing a menacing red. Although, it doesn't matter since our interests are aligned, Toby said quickly, not wishing to push Pain too far from his control. For now, Toby added and thought, as he could always kill him should it be necessary and take the Rinnegan for himself. How are you planning on getting the remaining 4 Bijus? Pain asked, curious about Toby's plans. Toby began, but was interrupted when he felt Zetsu approaching. Strange, Toby thought, as he hadn't requested anything of Zetsu as of late. What is it? Toby asked, annoyed since he was interrupted. I should tell you that Sasuke is dead, Zetsu replied, and Toby's eyes widened. What? Toby yelled in outrage. What happened? Toby asked, completely bewildered. He couldn't fathom how Sasuke could have died. Explain now! Toby yelled, glaring at Zetsu, who seemed to remain calm and unaffected. He died in his battle with Itachi, Zetsu simply replied, and Toby's jaw dropped. Take it from the beginning, Toby ordered as he calmed himself down. I cannot explain any further, Zetsu said, and Toby raised an eyebrow. And why not? Toby asked, irritated. Because Naruto-sama ordered me not to, Zetsu replied, and Toby scowled. The blonde had yet again interfered with his plans. Looks like things are coming to bite you in the ass, Pain said as he bit back a chuckle. The whole persona of Toby being Madara had begun crumbling down the moment Naruto revealed his grandfather back in the Chunin exams 3 years ago. Tisk! Toby sighed in annoyance. That blonde brat is always where he shouldn't be. Where is Itachi now? Toby asked, wanting to get some answer from him. He returned to Konoha, Zetsu replied, and Toby sat down as he began to nurse his temples. This isn't going well, Toby sighed. He had everything planned out until Naruto started making a mess of everything. Even now, almost 17 years of planning to get Sasuke just washed away with him getting killed. I could bring him back if you wish, Pain offered, and Toby sat up at the realization that Nagato could bring him back, although at the cost of becoming even more fragile. Where is Sasuke's body? Toby asked towards the white plant on the ground. Reduced to ashes, Zetsu simply replied. I guess it can't be helped, Toby said as he walked onto the balcony and overlooked the city. He was, in the end, just another pawn, Toby thought to himself. You were saying about the other Biju, Pain said as Toby refocused on their current objective. Since Itachi has betrayed us, that leaves one man shorter. I'll be heading to my hideout and I'll begin preparing the Zetsu army. We'll need all the numbers we can, Toby explained. Are you heading towards the mountain's graveyard? Pain asked, but Toby shook his head in denial. No, I will be at my main hideout. The one that no one besides me and Zetsu know about, Toby said, and Pain didn't seem pleased not knowing where to find Toby. Until then, Toby said and warped away. A few days later, Toby watched as the Geto Mazo statue slowly funneled chakra into the white Zetsu. Several white Zetsu were being produced from the chakra generated from the Bijus. It seemed like a factory, and a highly efficient one at that. Biju had a limitless supply of chakra since, once empty, they would just refill given an appropriate amount of waiting time. How many? Toby asked towards the original Zetsu. Toby was simply watching the events unfold with his smirk. He was literally watching the birth of his army, one that, in time, would be big enough to topple the elemental countries if need be. We have 3,000 as of now, and I estimate we can achieve 5,000 by the end of the week, Zetsu replied, and although he couldn't see it, he knew that Toby was smiling behind that mask. Excellent, Toby happily replied. I trust they will obey only me, correct? Toby asked, and Zetsu nodded. Toby really didn't want his army to march into the battlefield only to be told to return home by Naruto. I will be at the other hideout in the meantime, Toby said, and swirled away. Mountain's graveyard. Toby arrived at the base of his hideout and simply began walking towards the entrance. He was deep in thought and giddy at the prospect of having his new army that he wasn't really paying attention to his surroundings. Toby kept walking until his foot hit something. He looked down to see that he had kicked an arm, and a bloody one at that. What the hell? Toby said out loud as he took in his surroundings, only for his eyes to widen in shock, disbelief, and anger, all at the same time. This hideout was the place where the Uchiha clan were living, and the very same reason why Toby chose his other hideout to build his army. All around the entrance into hideout were bodies. Some of them were turned into stone with chakra written onto their faces, like they were petrified in an instant. Arms, legs, pieces they didn't know they belonged to the human body to begin with were sprayed around across the grounds. Pools of blood everywhere, and the stink of decomposing bodies filled his nostrils. Swords, kunai, and shuriken filled the ground, and the massive walls that surround the entrance. Even those old bones that were there, even before Madara had shown him this hideout, were nothing more than ash. And that was until he noticed just the amount of pieces there were. Toby estimated at least 100 bodies, and that was just counting the petrified ones. Toby approached one of them and gasped when he saw a free tomoid pattern in the rock. Toby quickly approached the entrance but noticed that it was blocked. When he approached it, he saw some messages still imprinted in the wall, burning in black flames. Compliments of the Kyuubi brat, Toby read in absolute anger and hate. The brat had somehow found out about his hideout. Oh, Naruto would pay very dearly for this. Years of planning, all gone in the blink of an eye. The Uchiha clan, years of training, supplies, 1 decade to prepare their plan, and everything just washed away. Arrgh! Toby yelled to his guys and cursed Uchiha Madara and his grandson. This wasn't a battle to begin with. It had been a massacre. 1 day earlier, Konoha. It was a beautiful and sunny day all over Konoha. The Hidden Leaf Village basked with sunlight. Merchants opened their stores, and various shinobi could be seen jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Up in the walls, several shinobi stood guard, watching the horizon for any sign of trouble. This is boring, Sunshin replied as he stretched his arms and popped his back. I hate surveillance gigs, he said. You complain too much, soldier. Eyes front. Ibiki ordered, and the Chunin immediately assumed a correct position. Heads up, Ibiki said, and the Chunin turned to him confused. Swoosh! Whoa! The Chunin cried as he stumbled due to some blonde shinobi blurring in front of him. Who was that? The Chunin asked as he already lost vision of him. The Chunin hadn't even sensed him approach and only caught a glimpse of yellow hair. Senju Naruto, Ibiki replied, making the Chunin's jaw drop. What is he doing here? The Chunin asked. Everyone had heard about the Senju clan heir. Morning workout, Ibiki said, and the Chunin gulped. At that speed? The Chunin asked, stupefied, and Ibiki chuckled. You don't get S-rank status by being lazy, Ibiki explained, chuckling, and made a head motion towards the Chunin, who took a step back as Naruto blurred by them again. That is insane! The Chunin cried in disbelief, and Ibiki chuckled again. Heads up, Ibiki said, but this time the Chunin caught a glimpse of a purple blur. The Chunin spun around until he dropped on the floor with his head spinning. And that? The Chunin asked. Senju Hinata, Ibiki replied. Senju? The Chunin asked, confused. I'm surprised you didn't know. The whole village already knows those two are engaged, Ibiki replied, only to smirk at the Chunin's shocked face. Brad's only 17, the Chunin pouted. With Naruto and Hinata. How come you didn't wake me up? Hinata asked as she caught up with Naruto. Both of them were running on the walls around Konoha in their warm-up routine for the day. You look peaceful in your sleep, Naruto replied, looking back. How many laps do you have left? Hinata asked. Just the one, Naruto replied, and raised an eyebrow when he saw Hinata's smile. Race you home, Hinata said as she blurred away from Naruto and quickly disappeared from view. That's cheating, Naruto yelled as he picked up speed as well. At the Senju compound. I won, Hinata said, smirking as she watched Naruto arrive. You cheated, Naruto pouted. You want to say that to my face? Both Naruto and Hinata heard yelling coming from inside the compound. Both of them opened the door and walked inside to see a strange situation that, funnily enough, everyone saw coming. Both Toriyama and Nao were staring at each other with sparks flying across their eyes. Itachi was at the table and could only sigh at their antics. Senju Uchiha! Both of them yelled as the sparks intensified and their chakras spiked. Can't you keep her in control? Naruto asked towards Itachi, who gave him an "Are you serious?" face. I just got my life back, and I want to keep it, Itachi simply replied. Alright, knock it off, Kushina said, but both Toriyama and Nao didn't even move. Don't make me get my sword, Kushina replied, sweetly making everyone pale. Toriyama and Nao quickly stopped their antics and split apart. Just another day at the Senju compound. Poof! There was a cloud of smoke right in the middle of the room, gathering the attention towards it. When the smoke cleared, a single toe was standing in the middle of the room with a scroll in his mouth. A message from Erosanin, Naruto said as Tsunade walked towards the toad and collected the scroll. Jiraiya has found the Uchiha clan hideout. It seems Nao's information was right, Tsunade said as she destroyed the message and placed the location on a table. Of course it was, Nao said, crossing her arms. Jiraiya is waiting on us. Now what? Tsunade asked towards the dragons. We strike, Toriyama simply said as he got up. According to Jiraiya, the hideout has a single entrance that is located in the crater. We will have higher ground and we will be able to ambush them, Toriyama explained. Don't you think we might be rushing this? Tsunade pondered. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt, Toriyama said, as Tsunade had to agree. For those who were born and lived during the clan wars, they knew war better than anyone. So we will attack at night and Naruto will use his Kirin Jutsu? Makes sense, Minato said, nodding, making everyone blink and turn to him. What? Minato asked, confused, and Kushina just slapped her forehead. Sometimes I wonder why Hiruzen made you Hokage, Toriyama said, and pretty much summed everyone's thoughts. And once we ambush them, we will do what? Hashirama said, getting suspicious. We will kill them all, Toriyama coldly said, making Hashirama flinch at his tone. You're insane, Hashirama said with a shocked face. They were just following their clan head. Some of them might be good people like those two, Hashirama said, pointing towards Itachi and Nao. Both of them remain silent as they watch both Senju brothers bicker. We might have no choice, Naruto softly said, and everyone turned to him. You too? Hashirama said, shaking his head. You would slaughter nearly 300 Uchihas just like that? Hashirama asked in disbelief. Damn it, Hashirama! Naruto said, slamming his hand on the table, making everyone flinch. Don't take me for some naive kid. You know very well what Nao said about their plans. They have about 50 Mangekyous, Hashirama. 50, Naruto stated. They can conquer any village with the right plan and their numbers alone, Naruto explained. They can. It doesn't mean they will, Hashirama firmly said, and Naruto shook his head. And would you be willing to wait and find out? Naruto asked, and Hashirama remained silent. Itachi, what's your take on this? Naruto asked towards the silent Uchiha. I made peace with my clan a long time ago. Their fate is not mine to choose, Itachi simply said, and Naruto sighed. Bachan, Naruto said, turning towards Tsunade, who smiled in understanding. I'm the Hokage, Naruto. My primary concern is the welfare of the village. You are the leader of the dragons, so it's your choice to make, Tsunade replied, and Naruto nodded and watched as everyone looked at him, waiting for his answer. Kurama, your opinion, Naruto said and fought as he wanted one last opinion before making his choice.
I don't know what the fuss is about. You have already killed more than 300.
Kurama simply replied, but Naruto remained silent. But those kills were never premeditated. The Uchiha clan hasn't done anything yet. They may be arrogant or vicious, but that isn't cause for termination. It was all Fugaku. How would you justify killing 300 people who most might be innocent? Naruto fought, sighing.
That is war, Naruto. Most of the times neither side is right or wrong. They simply fight for what they think is right. They fight for revenge, power, land, money, and even love. It doesn't matter, and that is why my father and your predecessor tried so hard to bring peace, but in the end, he failed.
Kurama replied, and Naruto slowly nodded, his mind clouded by Kurama's words. Perspective is a funny thing, wouldn't you say? Naruto rhetorically asked, chuckling. Kurama just raised an eyebrow. Look at Nagato. I don't know what made him that way, but for him to chase peace so vehemently, he holds nothing back to reach his goal, and I can easily tell that Fugaku is simply manipulating him. To Nagato, peace is achieved by pain, when mankind knows each other's pain, and then they will understand each other and cease this pointless bloodshed. Then we have Fugaku's point of view, a man who simply wishes to rule the world. And finally, me. Naruto said, smiling as he looked up to see Kurama. I will bring peace to this world on my own. I will carry this world's hate and lead to a brighter tomorrow. I will bear the burden of my choices, and I will bring peace to the world in my own way. This world is but an orphan child, and I will unite under one banner, not through force or an illusion, but through love and understanding, Naruto said, as he made up his mind. He would bear the burden, and he alone would suffer with the pain and consequences his choices may bring. There will be no Konoha, no Kumo, no Iwa, no Kiri, and no Suna. There will only be one people on a lonely planet. There will only be one shinobi. Naruto finished as he looked towards Kurama, whose jaw was on the ground.
You...
Kurama stuttered as he tried to come up with the right words. Kurama chuckled as he looked towards the grinning face of Naruto.
Then I will help you on your quest, as will all of my siblings,
Kurama said as he brought his fist down for Naruto to bump it.
You have your answer, I see,
Kurama said, and Naruto tilted his head in confusion.
You are ready to meet him,
Kurama said. Meet? Naruto was about to ask who he was meeting with when he simply toppled to the floor unconscious. Naruto! Everyone on the outside world yelled as Naruto fell to the ground. Hinata was already upon him, ready to diagnose his jutsu, but everything seemed fine with him. His heart rate was stable, and his chakra network seemed to be running normally as well. Although everything was fine with his body, his conscious mind wandered off into the beyond and into unknown places. I see you decide to bring him before me, some old man says. He watched the QB approach him with Naruto unconscious in his head. Kurama-kun, the old man added, lifting his head and displaying two silvery Rinnegan eyes. The old man floating in front of Kurama had deep wrinkles, a long beard, and short, light grayish colored shaggy hair that spiked up in the front with two distinctive parts of his hair, resembling horns, and a chin-length braid hanging in front of his left ear. He had pronounced eyebrow ridges with small horn protrusions above them. He also had a Rinnegan-like marking on his forehead. He wore a white, full-length cloak, Hayori, with a high collar revealing his necklace with 6 red magatama. On the back of his cloak was a reflection of a seal, which had the Rinnegan with 9 magatama in 3 rows beneath it.
Just like you said, old man,
Kurama said, giving the old man a toothy grin. That I did, the old man replied, chuckling as he watched Kurama lower Naruto to the ground. Naruto squirmed on the ground as he seemed too deep into some dream. First memory. Kasan! Kasan! A little kid yelled in glee as he ran through the halls of the palace where he lived. The little boy had short, spiky brown hair, but the most interesting fact about him would be his silver eyes, with several concentric circles around them. Slow down, Hagoromo-kun, some woman replied with a gentle smile. Hagoromo just grinned as he looked at the smiling face of his mother. She had very delicate facial features. She had long, sweeping, light-colored hair that touched the ground. Most noticeably were 2 horn-like protrusions which stuck out from her head, a trait shared with her son. Her eyebrows were cut very short, an outward symbol of royalty, and she wore a dark shade of lipstick on her lips and a dark shade of nail polish on her long fingernails. She wore the transitional high-colored hime kimono, which was adorned with intricate lines and tomoe running down the center and edges of the gown. Look! Look! Hagoromo hurriedly said as he sat down on the ground in the lowest position. Kaguya, the woman in front of him, and his mother just smiled at the bubbly actions of her son. Hagoromo took a deep breath as he concentrated. A small gust of wind was felt, and Kaguya raised an eyebrow as she watched her son start to levitate from the ground. It was nothing more than a simple inch at first, but he kept going higher into the air as the time passed. 1 minute later, and Hagoromo was already 3 feet off the ground. Careful now, Kaguya warned, concerned her son might hurt himself. I can go higher, Hagoromo said, desperate to prove himself. In a burst of air, Hagoromo rose nearly 10 feet into the air in a fraction of a second. See? Hagoromo said, smiling triumphantly. Ha! Hagoromo shouted as he lost his concentration in the midst of his own celebration. Hagoromo started falling, but instead of hitting the hard, cold floor of the palace, he found himself in his mother's arms. My bad, Hagoromo said, chuckling while Kaguya just smiled. Second memory. This is as far as you will go, a now older version of Hagoromo shouted. He looked like he had just passed his teens and became a young adult. Hagoromo was standing in the way of a colossal beast. The beast was titanic in size, with each limb being just big, if not bigger than beaches themselves. The beast possessed visible legs, which it used along with its right arm to stand, as its left arm was missing at the elbow. Its facial appearance consisted of a single ear on the right side of its head, while its mouth, which contained straight teeth and a nostril, moved to the left side, and several horns formed on various parts on its head, with 2 underneath its chin. All in all, it was a monster in every way of the word. It had no conscience and knew no end. Its only goal was to reclaim what was stolen from him, chakra. With a single swipe of its tentacles, entire continents were split in half. With a mighty roar, oceans were vaporized. Hagoromo was fighting the Shinju, or as most know it now, the Jubi. Rinbo, Hengoku, Hagoromo shouted as he slammed his staff on the ground and a gigantic pulse of gravity was unleashed. The beast that could easily destroy the lands was flung back, tumbling through the ground, crashing, destroying mountains until it came to an end, and yet it seemed unhurt. To think you were unhurt against such an attack, Hakurama says. He took a deep breath. Sweat was pouring down his face as he stood his ground against the strongest beast alive. Senpo Myojinmon, Sage Arts, Gate of the Great God. Hakurama says dozens of red tories fell from above, pinning the Jubi to the ground. Large red gates pinned his tails, arms, and legs as the beast was momentarily trapped. This should buy me enough time, Hakurama says. He felt the beast struggle as his gates started to crack. Hakurama sat on the ground in a low position as he began to concentrate. Small rocks around him started levitating and a small gust of wind swayed by. Hakurama slammed his hands together and slowly began to drive them apart. A pitch-black spear started forming between his hands. A buzzing sound was heard as this black spear started to grow in size, reaching the size of a football until it stopped. Cho Chubaku Tensei. Big planetary devastation, Hakurama said, as he released the black ball and watched it sail through the air and high into the sky. The spear began glowing and the whole planet started cracking. Chunks of earth, big as mountains themselves, were ripped from the ground, giving birth to gigantic craters. The Jubi broke his restraints and pinned his tails to the ground in a desperate move to secure himself to the earth. Nissan, now! Hakurama yelled towards his brother, who was on the ground in a meditative position. Sealing style, Hakurama's brother says. He slammed his hands on the ground. 17 trigrams divine seal, the brother said, as hundreds of purplish chains, almost transparent, rose from his location. These chains quickly made their way towards the Jubi like snakes. They slurred towards their target. The chains wrapped themselves around the Jubi and started siphoning their chakra into Hakurama, who gritted his teeth, feeling the heavy chakra enter his body. Rag! The Jubi yelled to the skies as the beast started shrinking. The beast form started wavering and the skin itself started withering away until it remained nothing more than a brown husk, depleted of life. Hakurama absorbed all the chakra of the Jubi and tumbled forward, using his arms to save himself and taking deep breaths. Hakurama looked up at the sky to see the new addition. A new planetary form had just been created, and inside it, the depleted husk of the Jubi, sealed away for all eternity. We won, Nissan, Hakurama says. His brother held him by the shoulder. Yes, we did, his brother replied, smiling as both left the battlefield. Third memory. We see Hakurama again, but this time he was already at an old age. He stood in the middle of a circle with several kanji in it. Around him stood the 9 Biju, still young as they had just been born from being split from the Jubi. Shukaku, Matatabi, Isobu, Son Goku, Kokuo, Saiken, Chomei, Gyuki, and Kurama. Hakurama started as the Biju listened in. You will always be together, even when you are separated, and one day you will become one, with different names and different forms than you exist now. And unlike when you're within me, you'll be led down the right path. When the time comes, you will know what true power is. Hakurama says he released his last breath. All the Bijus bowed their heads to their father. You will seek someone worthy, and when you find him, bring him before me. Kurama remembered his father's request as he let out a lone tear. End of memories. Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes, still a bit hazy from the rush of memories, and caught his surroundings. He looked around and spotted Kurama behind him, grinning like a madman. Naruto got onto his feet and noticing a flowing old man in front of him. Hagoromo, Naruto started as he took in the appearance of the man in front of him. Otsutsuki. Naruto breathed out in shock, looking at the sage's 6 paths saying right there in front of him. Is this some kind of joke? Naruto asked, annoyed towards Kurama, who chuckled in return. I assure you, I'm very real, Hakurama replied as he stopped floating and stood on the ground. It's very nice to finally meet you face to face, Senju Naruto. Haguruma said, smiling as Naruto's jaw dropped. He had very good reasons for it. After all, Haguruma Suzuki, father to all ninjutsu and to all shinobi, was standing right in front of Naruto. It's an honor to meet you in person. Naruto chuckled nervously, bowing to the sage in respect. How are you here? If I'm not so bold to ask, Naruto asked carefully, as he didn't want to anger him. When I created all of my sons and daughters, I sealed my last chakra into Kurama, Haguruma replied, and Naruto's jaw dropped. And I gave Kurama the task to find a worthy heir, one that shared my beliefs. I guess you could say it was poetic justice for you to bear the Rinnegan as well. Haguruma chuckled while Naruto just nodded dumbly. You knew all along? Naruto asked towards Kurama.
Of course,
Kurama replied, puffing his chest in pride.
I kept this fact hidden and searched through the ages for the man my father said that would unite the world and bring peace. I thought that man was Senju Hashirama, but I was wrong and moved on. Then I thought that man would be Namikaze Minato, but he failed as well. But the moment I first met you, I could see through your eyes that you would be the one. Hashirama is a good man, but is soft and forgiving. Minato is exactly like him, strong, caring, and forgiving to a fault. Tobirama is the opposite of his brother, and Minato. He cares only for the protection of his own people, and he would do anything for them, regarding what damage he would cause to the others. You bear the best attributes from each of them. You would do whatever it takes to protect the people you care for, but you still feel bad for any pain you cause to the other side. Even now, you are pondering if you should kill the Uchiha clan. It's true that they may be innocent, but killing them would be a crucial strike against the Akatsuki and Toby. For some reason, you're able to see beyond that and make choices for the greater good, no matter the consequences. A true leader, Naruto. That is what you are. It is a curious thing, Naruto. But perhaps those who are best suited to power are those who have never sought it. Those who, like you, have leadership thrust upon them and take up the mantle because they must, and find to their own surprise that they wear it well.
You speak as if I'm a leader. Would a good leader be willing to simply lay waste to innocent men for the greater good? Naruto asked, and Haguruma smiled. He reminded himself so much in that boy. All the struggles he had to endure because of his eyes and powers. We're all human, aren't we? Every human life is worth the same, and worth saving, Haguruma said as Naruto turned to him. So should I just ignore the fact that they betrayed the village and went to work towards a man that killed thousands of innocent people? How do you know when it's right to kill, most likely, innocent people, Naruto asked, and Haguruma smiled. That is your choice to make, Haguruma said, and Naruto groaned. Give me some answers, old man, Naruto complained. You are older, wiser, and more powerful than me, Naruto said, but Haguruma only chuckled. You are right on two counts. I am older, Haguruma said, flicking a stream of his gray hair. And I am wiser since you are nothing but a knucklehead, Haguruma said, chuckling, as Naruto's eyes twitched. But I am not more powerful than you, Haguruma said, and Naruto's jaw dropped. But, but, Naruto stared at Hakuruma's outrageous claim. You created the moon. While I am strong myself, I could never achieve something like that, Naruto said, refuting the old man's claims. It always seems impossible until it's done, Hakuruma said, and Naruto pondered if he would be able to do such a feat. He was broken from his thoughts when Hakuruma started walking towards him. Hakuruma arrived near him and placed a hand above his chest. I can feel it, and you can as well. You are stronger than me, Hakuruma said, smiling, as he watched Naruto slowly nod and agreed with him. You still didn't answer my question, old man, Naruto said knowingly as the sage chuckled. My life ended many centuries ago, Naruto. It's your turn to watch over the world. I can show you the path, but only you can walk on it, the sage replied, and Naruto groaned. It looked like no one was going to give him straight answers. So, should I just kill them and be done with it? Naruto pondered. Is it the possibility of regret you fear? Hakurama asked, and Naruto slowly nodded. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the happiness of their people, Hakurama said, and Naruto chuckled. You are right. I would do everything for the happiness of my people, but what about the others' happiness? Naruto countered. We could stay here all day long arguing about philosophical points of view and never reach the right answer. Every choice you make will have its consequences. It's how you deal with them that defines who and what you are, Hakurama explained, and Naruto nodded. I will stick by my choices, and I will finish what you started. I will unite the world under a single banner, and the world will know peace, Naruto said, grinning, making Hakurama nod his head. It's time for me to leave, Hakurama said, smiling as he lifted his hand into the air. Specks of light could be seen emanating from his hand, who by now was almost see-through. I have nothing else to give other than these two things, Hakurama said as he took out his 6 Tomoe cape and placed it around Naruto. When he was finished, he picked up the staff and placed it in Naruto's hands. The staff is my greatest weapon, and the one that I wield in my fight against the Jubi, Hakurama said as Naruto grasped the staff tightly. Naruto hit the staff on the ground and watched as the ground shook and several ripples appeared on the water. Did you never find it strange that Bojutsu was the first art you learned and yet you mastered so quickly at such a young age? Hakurama questioned as he watched Naruto do some experimental swings with his new weapon. With a single swing, powerful gusts of wind erupted from it. Another swing and a cloud of fire rose from it. And the cape? Naruto asked, curious, while Hakurama just grinned. It makes you look badass, Hakurama said, while Naruto and Kurama's sweat dropped. I'm leaving, Hakurama says, his whole body started becoming transparent. The world is in your hands now. It's my legacy to you, Hakurama says. He exploded into shining particles of light. Let's go change the world into a better place, Kurama, Naruto said, and Kurama nodded, taking Naruto from this plane and back to his own world. Back in the real world. Only a few seconds had passed since Naruto had fallen unconscious on the ground, and the whole compound was a riot. Hinata and Tsunade were all over Naruto trying to diagnose what just happened. Minato and Toiran were scanning Naruto to see for any possible malfunction or possible overload from him having the whole QB. And that was when it happened. Naruto suddenly opened his eyes to reveal his Rinnegan glowing a silver color. As his eyes opened, a small shockwave was released, sending everyone tumbling backwards. Naruto smiled as he started getting up. Everyone watched in shock as a white cape started manifesting itself all around Naruto. He now wore a white full-length cloak with a high collar with several black magatamas. On the back of his cloak was a reflection of the seal, which had the Rinnegan with 9 magatama in 3 rows beneath it. As if things couldn't get any weirder, a metal staff started forming in his right hand. To some, it would seem like some piece of metal, but it was so much more. It was lighter but stronger than steel. Naruto ran chakra through his staff, and everyone watched as a broken circle appeared at one end while he rested the other on the ground. While moments ago Naruto seemed too confused on what to do or what to choose, this Naruto seemed to radiate peace and understanding. His eyes seemed to portray wisdom beyond ages. It was as if Naruto had been reconnected to a lost piece of himself. It looked like Naruto had found inner peace. So, Naruto said, breaking everyone from their trance. You won't believe who I just met, Naruto said, grinning. Naruto? Minato started as he looked towards his son. Where did you get that staff? Minato asked in shock. There wasn't much information regarding the Stage 6 Pass, but any shinobi worth his salt would at least know the legend that creates chakra. I met him. Hakurama Tsuki, Naruto said while everyone looked at Naruto in confusion. You know him as the Sage of the Six Paths, Naruto said, and everyone's jaw dropped. I know that feeling, Naruto says, his new staff disappeared into his sword seals as he sat down. I thought it was a prank from Kurama when I saw him in front of me, Naruto chuckled while everyone just listened in. Apparently the sage sealed some of his chakra into Kurama to be released when Kurama had found a worthy heir. I met him and talked to him. He advised and gave me his staff as a gift, Naruto said, and everyone slowly nodded like some robots in sync. We will strike at night. No survivors, Naruto simply said, and Hashima's eyes had widened at Naruto's choice. I won't be a part of this. Sorry, Hashirama says he walked out of the room, making everyone sigh. Let's gear up and prepare, Toriyama said, and the remaining dragons nodded. Don't get caught and come out clean tonight, warned. I don't want to dime out of the Fang country, breathing down my neck for attacking his land tonight, said, and everyone nodded. What about Miko-chan? Kushina said sadly. She was like a sister to me, and I know that she would never go along with this, Kushina said, and now chuckled sadly. Mikoto is a submissive and broken woman, now began, and Kushina focused on her. Did you know that she has Mangekyo because she betrayed you? Now said, and Kushina was shocked. Betrayed me? Kushina asked, confused. But she never did anything to hurt me in any way whatsoever, Kushina explained. I know how, Minato replied, sighing. Now that I know that Tobi is Fugaku, everything is clear to me. Mikoto told Fugaku where you would be delivering Naruto, Minato said, and Kushina was shocked, but she knew that it was true. Kushina had only told Mikoto, her sister and most trusted friend. Mikoto was responsible for the attack on Konoha. Only I, Hiruzen and his wife, and a select few Anbu knew of your location at that time, Minato said, and Kushina sighed, wondering how Mikoto could betray her like that. I guess I'll find out what happened tonight, Kushina said, and Minato nodded. Send word to Jiraiya about our plans tonight, said, and Minato nodded, placed a scroll on the toad, and watched him dispel and smoke. At night, Mountain's graveyard. It was a surprisingly clear night. There were no clouds making a perfect starry sky in the Fang country. It was also a full moon, shining brightly high in the sky, illuminating the grounds. Outside the Uchiha's hideout was complete silence. There was no wind or any type of animals. It was the calm before the storm. Naruto was sitting on the edge of the walls that led down into the crater where the hideout stood. Behind stood all the dragons with the exception of Hashirama, who chose not to participate in this. Naruto's hair swayed in the wind as the moon shone in the sky. To anyone else, it would look like a terrifying picture. Naruto sitting down with Master Shinobi behind him. About time you arrived, Ero-sanin, Naruto said as Jiraiya arrived near them in the Shunshin. I was far away already. I didn't want to stick around while I wait for your decision on what to do, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded, rising up. Byakugan! Hinata shouted as her eyes flared to life, several bulges appearing around her eyes. Hinata sat down. She concentrated slowly on expanding her range so she could gaze inside the hideout. The hideout is massive. There are hundreds of chambers, hallways extending for miles, Hinata explained. But there is only one exit, right? Naruto asked, and Hinata nodded, confirming. What about their numbers? Naruto asked, wanting to know if the Uchihas were all present. 342, Hinata answered, and Naruto nodded. It was slightly below their numbers when the clan was supposedly slaughtered a decade ago. According to now's intel, they have at least 5 members capable of using Susanoo. She didn't know anything about the others' powers because they kept to themselves, Naruto mused himself. I'm going in, Naruto said, and everyone nodded and went to do their part of the plan. Naruto's part was to infiltrate the hideout. Naruto took a deep breath as he restrained his chakra levels to their lowest level, and with his level of control, only a skilled sensor would be able to pick him up. Naruto jumped down and quickly approached the main entrance. It was blocked by some gates, but Naruto could easily pass them with his comway. All clear, Hinata said through his intercom. Hinata would guide Naruto's movements through the base and warn him against possible enemies. Naruto nodded and phased through the door and into the hideout. Like Jiraiya has said many times, enemies never looked up, so Naruto kept his stance as he made his way through the hallways. The first junction is 20 meters upon your next left, Hinata said, and Naruto and I making his way towards the first strategic point in the hideout. Naruto focused and noticed that no one was around. He placed a hand on the ceiling and watched his kanji float from his hand, embedding itself onto the wall, until disappearing completely from view. Naruto made a tiger seal and noticed as the seal slightly glowed before vanishing again. First seal is in place, Naruto replied in a low voice for the intercom. Naruto continued on his path, avoiding potential cluster sites and easily sneaking around any Uchihas that came around. It wasn't like they were expecting anyone to sneak in. Naruto phased through the ground beneath him and he came into another room. Naruto clung to the ceiling as he looked down to see some Uchiha resting on the couch. Naruto could feel that the Uchiha was still awake, although he was near the place where Naruto would need the next seal. What? The Uchiha was about to yell when his screams were muffled by a swirling sound. Naruto had used his Kamui and, in a blink of an eye, had sent the Uchiha into his dimension. On the outside, a clone of Naruto had taken the Uchiha out of his dimension and promptly dealt with him. Fifth seal and ready, Naruto said as the seal glowed and disappeared as well. Naruto nodded himself on a job well done and quickly sank into the walls as a couple of Uchihas stepped into the room. Where the hell is Ryu? Some Uchiha groaned. Maybe he's in the hall, the other replied as both Uchihas went searching for him. Naruto sighed in relief as he didn't want to set off any alarms. Yet. Naruto made his way towards the last place and cursed his luck as the last place was crawling with Uchihas. Naruto counted at least 20 since the last place seemed like some living room or social room. How the hell am I going to plant a seal? I can't warp them all at once, Naruto cursed to himself. The plan wouldn't work without every seal being in the right place. Henge, Naruto muttered to himself as he transformed himself into Uchiha he had just killed a few moments ago. Naruto sank to the outside of the room and simply walked through doors like some ordinary member. Naruto approached the wall and very discreetly applied the seal without anyone noticing. There you are, Ryu. Naruto heard someone calling and turned to see two Uchihas approaching. Are we still on for tonight? The Uchihas asked, and Naruto cursed his luck. He just had to run into the people that were looking for him. Hinata-chan, tell my clone to read the Uchiha's mind I just sent, Naruto suddenly said for the intercom. Tonight? Ryu, Naruto said as he tilted his head to the side in confusion. Don't tell me you forgot, the Uchiha asked in disbelief. Naruto was wondering what else to say when he felt a rush of information. Oh right, the poker game, Ryu said, making both Uchihas chuckle. I hope you're ready to lose, Ryu smirked. Alright then, we will see you tonight at midnight, one Uchiha said as both of them walked off and Naruto sighed in relief. Naruto walked out of the room and once he was outside of everyone's view, he simply swirled away out of the hideout and arrived near Hinata and the others. Close call, Naruto said out loud. All the seals are in place. Let's get the rest of the plan going, Naruto said. Hinata-chan, you're up, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded as she took a deep breath and she sat down. Not even 5 minutes later, Hinata had entered Sage Room with purple markings on her face. Senpo, Seka no Ami, Sage Arts, Petrifying Rain, Hinata says, heavy rain started to fall. Mito, place a barrier around Hinata-chan since she's vulnerable when using this jutsu, Naruto said towards Mito as he looked towards Hinata who sat on the ground completely still. Naruto channeled chakra into his right hand and sent a beam into the sky. From the dark clouds of rain, several thunderous roars lit up the night sky. Everyone turned to Naruto in confusion as his Kirin Jutsu wasn't part of the plan. Just in case, Naruto said, and everyone did their part. We are ready, Toyarama said, and Naruto nodded as he brought his right hand and made the tiger seal. Activate, Naruto said. Deep inside the hideout, the seal started glowing and the ground started vibrating slowly. Only a few seconds later, the whole cave started shaking. This place is caving, some Uchiha said as specks of dust fell from the ceiling. Everybody out! The Uchiha yelled, and everyone started running outside so they couldn't get crushed to death. Little did they know that inside was still safer. We made it, Uchiha said as he jumped outside, taking deep breaths. Rain? The Uchiha muttered as he looked to see heavy rain and thunder. Some luck, the Uchiha thought to himself as the hideout decided to cave when it was raining. Are they all out? Naruto asked towards Hinata, who nodded. Naruto made another tiger hand seal and activated an explosive tag he left at the entrance of the cave. With a loud explosion, the only entrance to the cave had been completely sealed off. Arrgh! Uchiha yelled, making everyone look towards him. Sabaku Taiso, Giant Sand Burial! Gaara said as several Uchihas were enveloped by sand that rested beneath their feet. With the confusion on the hideout caving, they didn't notice that the whole earth beneath their feet was actually sand. The Uchihas were simply crushed to death. "We're under attack!" Someone yelled, placing everyone on high alert. Every single Uchiha had their Sharingans blazing and were looking for their enemies. Arrgh! Another Uchiha yelled as he fell to the ground, trying to scratch something off his arms. "Get out! Get out!" The Uchiha yelled in despair as he watched his rider begin to turn gray and unresponsive. Everyone watched in shock as their friend squirmed in the ground until he remained completely immobile and gray, turned into stone. Arrgh! Another one yelled as his arm began to turn gray as well. The Uchiha fell to his knees as he tried to ignore the pain. Another Uchiha decided to take matters into his own hands and took out his blade. In a burst of speed, he sliced the dying Uchiha's arm off. The arm fell to the ground as it turned completely into stone. Arrgh! The Uchiha whose arm just got cut off continued screaming as he started turning gray. It appeared cutting off his arm didn't even slow it down. "It's the rain!" Another Uchiha said as he noticed that the rain had chakra in it. "Take cover!" The Uchiha yelled and no one questioned him. Some summoned their Susanoo shield, others took cover behind some rocks or the bones that were on the ground, and the others rose some kind of mud walls to shield themselves from the rain. "We managed to take out almost half," Toriyama said. They were still watching from above the walls. Hinata's Ray and Garsan took out almost half of the members since they were all caught off guard. "Let's finish the rest. Me, Toriyama, and Minato will go in first," Naruto said, as both Blonde and Toriyama jumped down, landing in the crater. The whole ground was riddled with Hirashin seals, and as such, the remaining Uchihas never knew what hit them. "Hirashin Giri, Flying Thunder God Slash," Toriyama says. He appeared next to Uchiha with his Raijin no Ken Thunder God Sword extended. The Uchiha's head simply slid down his neck and hit the ground with a thump sound. The head hit the ground, but Toriyama was already gone. "Rasengan," Minato said as Uchiha was blasted back. Another Uchiha took the opportunity to attack Minato, but only sliced air as Minato appeared behind him and slit his throat. Naruto flashed in the middle of 5 Uchihas who felt him appear. The Uchihas raised their swords and kunai. As the Uchihas were prepared to strike, Naruto flexed both wrists as long black metal blades erupted from both his palms. Naruto extended both blades forward as he spun around quickly, killing all 5 Uchihas at once. Before the blood could even touch him, he was already gone. "I know that you are there. Come down," Mikoto said, with her Mangekyo glowing and a red ribcage around her. Mikoto watched as one shinobi jumped down from the roof and landed in front of her. The shinobi bore blood-red samurai-style armor with a dragon symbol emblazoned in the chest plate. The shinobi had long red hair and had an equal-colored mask covering her face. "You can take your mask off. I know who you are, Kushina," Mikoto sadly said, and watched as the shinobi's mask fell to the ground, revealing Kushina, who had a sad expression as seeing a person she considered a sister. "I don't know how you are alive, but it's good to see you again," Mikoto said, smiling. "Did she really tell Fukaku where I was giving birth?" Kushina said with a neutral face. Mikoto only nodded. "Why did you do it?" Kushina asked, frowning. "I thought we were like sisters," Kushina said. "What would you choose, Kushina?" Mikoto asked, but Kushina was confused. "Minato or Konoha?" Mikoto added, and Kushina remained silent. "I chose to stay by my family's side, but now I regret it," Mikoto sadly said. "You can put all this behind and come with us. It's not too late, Miko-chan," Kushina desperately said, and Mikoto gave a hollow chuckle. "Always a forgiving heart," Mikoto said, smiling as her eyes glowed and her Susanoo increased. An arm sprouted from her Susanoo and a red saber appeared in its hand. "Futon no Yoroi, wind armor," Kushina said as her body became surrounded by a ghostly white aura. Mikoto swung her sword, but caught only arrows. Kushina was long gone. Her wind armor drastically reduced wind resistance, allowing Kushina a large boost in physical speed. "Wind slash," Kushina said as she channeled chakra for her katana, giving it a blue hue. Kushina flicked her blade and released a blue wave. Mikoto brought her saber up and simply broke it like nothing. Makoto Susanoo raised her saber and was about to swing it down when several gold chains sprouted from the ground, wrapping itself around her arm and pinning her Susanoo to the ground. "Miko-chan, stop this!" Kushina pleaded, but Makoto just smiled sadly as she blurred through hand seals. Katanka Gyaku no Jutsu, great fireball technique, Mako said, taking a deep breath and unleashing a torrent of flames. The flames washed to the ground, but only hit Kushina's after image. Kushina's sword glowed a bright blue as she reappeared next to Makoto Susanoo and sliced his arm off. The Susanoo's arm fell to the ground and simply faded from view as another one was born. Makoto dropped her Susanoo as the chains fell to the ground and retracted back into Kushina. Kushina flexed her blade forward and channeled a large amount of chakra for her body. Dragon dive! Kushina said she exploded from her location, flying forward at blinding speeds towards Makoto. Makoto's smile sadly as her Mangekyo pattern seemed to change. Kuronosu, god of time, Makoto thought to herself as her eyes pulsed. She saw Kushina begin to slow down until she stopped. Makoto looked around and even the rain seemed to stop and hover in the air. All around her, everything came to a halt. I'm sorry, old friend. I hope you can forgive me, Makoto sadly said. She placed herself right in front of Kushina's sword. Why do you wish to die? Naruto asked as he suddenly appeared next to both women. Makoto's eyes widened when she saw Naruto. How can you move? My ability can slow down time to the point that everything stops, Makoto said, surprised. I can do something similar, so I easily felt what you were doing. Naruto chuckled, and Makoto was surprised to see another time-related ability. You didn't answer my question, though, Naruto said, and Makoto lowered her head. I deserve it. After everything I did, all the lives that are lost because of me, I just want to lay it behind me and rest, Makoto sadly said, and Naruto not allowing Makoto to make her own choices. Thank you, Makoto said. She stopped her jutsu, and Kushina pierced Makoto's chest with her sword. No, Kushina said in shock as she delivered a fatal blow to Makoto. She didn't understand what happened. One moment Makoto was far away from her, the other she was right at the tip of her blade. Why? Kushina asked, sobbing as her friend lay at the death's gates. It was my choice, Kushina-chan, Makoto said, smiling as a trail of blood ran down from her mouth. Do you forgive me? Makoto barely managed to get out. She could feel her life slipping away. Of course I do, Miko-chan, Kushina said, and Makoto let out her last breath. Kushina lowered her friend's body to the ground and looked at Makoto, who had a gentle smile on her face. Naruto! Kushina screamed, and in a flash, Naruto was by her side. What happened? Naruto asked, fainting in confusion. Bring her back! Kushina says, tears ran down her face. No. Naruto simply replied, closing his eyes. As much as it hurt him to see his mother in tears, he wouldn't change Makoto's choices. What? Kushina roared, getting up and saying at Naruto's level. Bring her back! Kushina ordered, but Naruto remained still. Kushina jumped towards Naruto in rage, who simply held her as she weakly punched his chest. Please bring her back! Kushina pleaded, and Naruto shut his eyes to stop tears from coming out. I know it's hard, but she chose this fate. Accept it and honor her memory, Naruto said, and simply held Kushina as she cried openly. A few minutes later, Kushina had calmed down, and both mother and son split. Feeling better, Naruto asked with a small smile while Kushina just stared at Makoto's dead form. It's done, Tyrama said as he arrived near Naruto. He looked around to see that the Uchiha clan had been decimated. What about the body? Tyrama asked. If your opponent is of a choleric temper, seek to irritate him, Naruto said, and Tyrama raised an eyebrow. Leave them behind as a message to Fugaku, Naruto said, and Tyrama shrugged his shoulders. He couldn't care less. No, Kushina softly said. I want to bring Miko-chan with me and give her a proper burial, Kushina said, and Naruto nodded, smiling as he tossed Kushina a sealing scroll. The Uchiha clan, one of the strongest clans in the whole Elemental Nations, one of the founding clans of Konoha, possessing of hundreds of members and bearer of the Sharingan bloodline, had been massacred in a few minutes. And that is the end of chapter 50. We can now move on to chapter 52, or no, not 52, 51. Sorry, these chapter numbers are a little bit out of order. Yeah, but chapter 51 is next. But quick question, do you think what Naruto did was right? Let me know in the comments below. And we're actually going to get into the potential consequences of that as we go into the Jonin exams arc. So here we go. Chapter 51, into Kumo. Hokage's office. What a beautiful day, Tsunai murmured to herself as she began her daily work in the office. She had to ride back in town for the next foreseeable weeks. The Uchiha clan had no repercussion whatsoever, and it was a sunny day to end it all. If not for the amount of paperwork already sitting in front of her, it would have been one perfect day. Tsunade-sama, Shizune said, making Tsunade raise her head. You have a message from Kumo, Shizune said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Tsunade thought to herself, chuckling as she read the letter. I shouldn't be surprised in the end. It's been almost 20 years since the Third Great War ended. Crumble. Tsunade hummed in confusion as she saw small specks of dust falling from the ceiling. She started feeling some vibrations and looked at her cup to see some ripples in her morning sake. Suddenly her office started shaking to the point she had to secure herself with chakra to avoid falling from the chair. What the hell? Tsunade asked to no one in her confusion. Konoha wasn't in any act of falling, so why would an earthquake appear all of a sudden? Tsunade quickly ran to the window and was met with some shock when she gazed at the horizon. A swirling black spear appeared on the horizon, drawing everything to it. The wind, trees, and even clouds seemed to shift and spiral around it. Hokage-sama! Sunjin burst through the door yelling at his leader, but she was already gone. Are they going all out? Tsunade thought to herself. She ran towards the training ground. She had to put an end to it, and fast. Moments earlier, training ground 0. Cling! Cling! Sounds of metal clashing with other metal rang throughout the battlegrounds. In the middle of training ground 0, two shinobi were clashing with unprecedented fierceness. Neither one willing to forfeit or back down. The training ground 0, one of the most reclusive of the training grounds, reserved only for high-level training clashes, whose access was granted only by the Hokage's direct order. Senpo, Sage Arts, Hashirama said, and green marks started appearing on his face. The marks formed a loop around his eyes going into his cheeks, and they had 2 concentric circles on his forehead. Hashirama's eyes turned to golden ones and felt like they were radiating power. Bokujon Haijutsu, Hashirama says. He did a snake seal and the ground started shaking. Hashirama looked towards Naruto, who was also spinning a chakra for his own jutsu. Jukai Kotan, Nativity of World Trees, Hashirama shouted and flexed his arms forward, making trees burst from the ground. Hundreds upon hundreds of trees suddenly popped from the ground and started heading towards Naruto, destroying everything in their path. Enton, Inferno style, Naruto says. He pumped his lungs with air, and his Mangekyou started glowing. Goka Mikyaku, Great Fire Annihilation, Naruto said, unleashed a gigantic-sized wave of black flames upon the incoming wind barrage. Naruto unleashed fire so hot that it scorched the earth and the trees were instantly vaporized upon contact. Naruto's eyes glowed as the Susanoo formed itself around him. A silver scythe appeared from the ribcage as it sliced off a wood branch that tried to flank Naruto from the side. Naruto dropped his Susanoo and canceled his fire jutsu and watched as Hashirama's jutsu was reduced to nothing more than black ashes on the ground. Mokuton, Kaijukai Korin, advent of the world of flowering trees, Hashirama said, as more trees were born from the ground. The trees grew into huge heights until they started blooming into beautiful pink flowers. They were exactly like roses, beautiful yet deadly. As the flowers bloomed, a thick, yellowish mist enveloped the whole field. The flowers had released their pollen that spread through that battlefield. Anything that inhaled even the smallest amount of it would be rendered unconscious. Katon Goen Rasengan, Great Flame Rasengan, Naruto said, as he unleashed his attack in the middle of the forest. Hashirama was forced to jump into safety as the ground around him erupted in a maelstrom of fire. A tornado of fire raged on the training grounds, unleashing scorching winds and vaporizing everything around it. Hashirama had sweat rolling down his face due to the heat being unleashed, but Naruto didn't seem to be affected by his own creations as he stood in the middle of it, enjoying the inferno he had unleashed. Aren't they going a bit too far? Now asked Gulpin as she watched a friendly spar between Senju Naruto and Senju Hashirama. Tobirama, Minato, Kushina, Mito, Hinata, Itachi, and now, we're all watching a clash of both powerhouses safely behind a barrier. Although, if the battle were to escalate, not even the barrier could stand in their way. Well, Toyarama started, bringing his hand to his chin. Hashirama is pissed about Naruto's choice to eliminate the Uchiha clan, Toyarama said as Itachi sighed. Yasaka no Magatama, Naruto said as the Susanoo evolved from the base ribcage and into a more built form, a form worthy of a warrior. Several ethereal beasts formed between Susanoo's arms and were hurled towards Hashirama at great speeds. Mokusan Hobi no Jutsu, Wood Expulsion, Hashirama says. A dragon-faced dome rose from the ground around him. Hashirama's wooden dome creaked as the beasts dug themselves within the wood. Even though they were thrown with an impressive speed, Hashirama's jutsu managed to block them. Senpo Mokutan, Shin Susenju. True several thousand hands, Hashirama shouted, clasping his hands together as a titanic, many-handed statue appeared. The whole training grounds quaked as the statue burst from the ground and stood in front of Naruto. The statue had such magnitude that it put the beach to shame. It easily toppled mountains in terms of height. I think you might be right, Toyarama said, looking at the monstrous wooden statue in front of him. Toyarama felt like an ant before the statue in front of him. This was Hashirama's most powerful jutsu, one that could cripple even Bijuu, and the very one that destroyed Madara Susanoo back during their last battle. We should leave, now Hurley said, as she couldn't even see the top of the statue from her position on the ground. To think Hashirama could have this level of power. I agree, Toyarama said, and no one needs to be told twice. Damn, he's going all out, Naruto thought to himself. He chuckled at the good time he was having. It wasn't every day he was forced to use his most powerful jutsus. Kurama was simply watching a show from his host's body. The last time he saw the one thing, the statue picked him up like some rag doll. Juryotan, gravity release, Naruto said, pointing his right hand in the air. Purple chakra started swirling in his hand. Moments later, a pitch-black spear formed on his palm, the size of a football. Around the spear, a series of white rings started spiraling, orbiting the black spear. The rings started aligning themselves into a one disc-like shape around the orb. It seemed that Naruto had a black planet in his hand, with planetary rings around it, either that or a black hole. Dai Rasen Ringu, great spiraling ring, Naruto said as he released his jutsu, which simply levitated, heading straight for the statue. The moment the black sphere touched the wooden statue, all hell broke loose. The training ground exploded in a maelstrom of blackness. Fierce winds raged on, pulling everything towards the black spear. Piece by piece, Hashirama's wooden statue started disintegrating and was simply absorbed into the black hole. Any strike that the statue might do was simply redirect and pull into Spear's gravitational pull. Mito had her eyes wide at the magnitude of the jutsu. She gawked as the barrier in front of her seemed to stretch towards the black hole. Not even 1 second later, the barrier fell as the black tornado raged on in the battlegrounds. Trees were uprooting, huge chunks of earth were simply turned to dust due to the gravitational pull of the jutsu. Even the clouds swirled towards the epicenter of the jutsu. Every single spectator was hanging for dear life. They bolted away the moment they saw Naruto start their jutsu, and even though they were almost a mile away, they could still feel the pull. The jutsu started expanding and quickly growing in size, eating away the terrain. Suddenly, just like it had begun, the black vortex imploded and disappeared completely. Every spectator breathed down in relief as they regained their bearings and started approaching the battlefield. Someone had to tell those two to stop the battle, or they might accidentally level Konoha. If not for the barrier, a good chunk of Konoha might already be gone. Unbelievable! Now Sir in shock at the devastation lying in front of her. The wooden statue was nowhere to be seen, and the once green battleground was nothing more than a crater, 100 meters deep. They spotted Naruto at the edge of the crater and made their way towards him. And I thought I was strong. Those two are on a whole different level now, thought to herself in shock. Hashirama's skill with the wood element dwarfed even of Fugaku's mastery. Mito started wearily. Where is Hashirama? Mito asked, worried as she didn't see her or feel her husband anywhere on the battlegrounds. Naruto used his calmly and simply dropped Hashirama on the ground, unconscious. I had to warp him into my dimension, otherwise he wouldn't survive, Naruto said, and Mito thanked him, bending down to check up on Hashirama. He really must have been pissed to fight you to the point he passed out, Minato chuckled, while Naruto just shook his head. It was better this way. Let him release his hate on me, Naruto said as he watched Tsunade arrive at the training field with an expression that promised pain. What? Tsunade had eyes bulging out at the state of the training ground, if it could be called that at this point. What the hell were you thinking, taking things to this level? Tsunade roared while everyone cringed at the sound spike. It had to be done, Naruto simply replied and gulped as Tsunade approached them. You could have destroyed Konoha with your spar, Tsunade said, putting emphasis on the word spar. We know what we were doing, Bachan. You worry too much, Naruto said, waving Tsunade's concern off. I will even sweeten the deal, Naruto said, making Tsunade raise an eyebrow in surprise. On Miotan, Yin Yang release, Naruto said as his eyes turned silver and started glowing. Jikan no Suna, Sands of Time, Naruto said, flexing his right arm towards the destroyed training ground. Everyone's jaw dropped as the training ground seemed to be reverting back to its initial state. The crater started filling itself with rock. Trees were born out of nowhere and rooted to the ground. As the crater closed, a vast sea of green filled the grounds. The training grounds were back as if nothing had happened to begin with. Amazing, Now breathed out as she watched everything revert back. Such mastery of yin yang release, Itachi thought to himself, analyzing Naruto to the detail. He had just used the rawest form of chakra manipulation, and yet he seemed normal, like Setjutsu was just another one. To him, perhaps it is, Itachi mused and thought. There you go, all back to normal, Naruto said, and Tsunade only nodded dumbly as she heard the birds chirping in the trees. Maybe I had too much sake already, Tsunade thought to herself, as she turned around and simply walked towards her office. That must be it, Tsunade thought, confirming her beliefs. What about him? Toriyama asked, pointing towards his passed-out brother lying on the floor. He's just unconscious. I will take him home and let him cool off, Mito said, holstering her husband and disappearing in a shunshin. Later that day, every Konoha civilian was running like wild chickens when they saw that huge black tornado rise on the horizon, but so close to the village. They thought another Biju was about to attack their home once again. Everyone breathed in relief when the black thing disappeared and everything returned to normal. Say, can we talk? Now asked as she approached Hinata. Everyone was gathered around in the Senju compound. Hinata rose an eyebrow in interest when she saw Uchiha now approaching. Things have been a little rocky between the two ever since Now started living there as well. Sure, Hinata replied, not really sure what else to say. Hinata watched as Now nervously approached and sat beside her. Now fidgeted with her fingers, not sure where to begin. Both of them just sat down in awkward silence. Sorry, Now said just above a whisper. Now didn't know why she couldn't apologize to Hinata. It's not like she did anything wrong, well, except for trying to kill her. Come again? Hinata asked as she didn't understand what Now had said. Sorry for trying to kill you, Now still looking down and avoiding Hinata's eyes. Hinata just smiled and turned towards Now. Okay, Hinata replied, and Now did a double take. What? Now asked, surprised by your reaction. Just like that? You said you were sorry, and you already helped us, so no harm done. Besides, everyone deserves a second chance, Now replied, smiling. Now was suddenly so overjoyed that she jumped forward and hugged Hinata with all her might. This is awkward, Hinata thought to herself when she heard sniffling sounds coming from Now. Are you alright? Hinata asked with concern in her voice. She never expected Now of all people to cry on her shoulder. Now always seemed like nothing ever affected her. Yes, thank you, Now said, breaking the hug and cleaning her red and puffy eyes. It's just, my life was a nightmare ever since I was born. My parents died when I was still young. I was only 4 years old and I can barely remember their faces. My sister did the best she could to take care of me, but it wasn't the same. Now began looking to the ground while Hinata just listened. I didn't want to let them down, and I just trained and trained to be the best, to make them proud. I never had any friends at the academy since I was so engrossed on being a shinobi. The only kid that would even come close to me was Itachi-kun. I was overjoyed when we both graduated from the academy at the same time and got onto the same team together. Now says, smiling fondly at our memories. We both belonged to Uchiha clan, but I only met him at the academy. He was the son of the clan head, and I was just another random Uchiha. I walked through the compound's walls, and I felt like I was invisible to everyone else. No one seemed to care about me. Yet, Itachi treated me like a normal person. Those 3 years were the best I ever had. I finally had a friend in Itachi. He always kept to himself, but I managed to get a few smiles from him from time to time. Now said, and Hinata chuckled softly. We grew into friends and rivals at the same time. We both wanted to grow strong, and we pushed each other, sparring almost daily. Eventually, we took the tuning exams together, and we both aced it. The bastard managed to win against me in the last round, though. I left him with a few good bruises, now said, pouting softly. Then, everything went downside again. Itachi was recruited into Anbu 6 months later, and I was left all alone again. My sister was often on long-term missions, and I did what I did best. I drowned myself in training once again. The years went by, and eventually I was promoted to Jonin. Sometimes I caught glimpses of Itachi at the compound, but for some reason he always disappeared, like he wanted to push me away. I only understood why he did it when Fugaku told us the plan to escape Konoha. Itachi had been keeping assistance from me so he could more easily do his mission. Every member of the clan was replaced by a clone, and I watched as Itachi slaughtered everyone. He was branded a traitor and left Konoha to live as a missing shinobi. I could clearly see the pain he was in when he finished his deed. I wanted to find him and tell him that he didn't kill anyone, but Fugaku never let me. Just 2 years after we left Konoha, my sister died, and I was left completely alone. Even worse is that we were in the middle of the civil war in Kiri, a war that Fugaku himself had started to weaken the Mist Village. I was alone for years, going on mission after mission, coming home exhausted only to fall asleep immediately. The next day, another mission would be ready for me to take. I kept doing missions, and I grew stronger and stronger as my eyes developed, awakening new powers, until I was given that mission in Kiri where I met you. Now said sighing. It was just another mission for me. One of so many I had already done before. But I lost. Now chuckled. That was my wake-up call. You opened my eyes, and I began training once again in the hopes we would meet again and I could repay the favor. After the whole Kiri fiasco, the Uchiha clan was forced out of Kiri with the rebels taking control of the village. We were relocated, and a few weeks later I was given another mission. To blow up Konoha's academy and kill everyone inside, now said, and Hinata gasped. I did come to Konoha to do the mission, now said, and Hinata was shocked that now would even consider such a thing. We even crossed paths in the middle of the street. Now chuckled slowly, and Hinata remembered that event when she had felt some familiar chakra. I infiltrated the academy and was walking through the halls when I heard someone named Iruka giving a lecture on the Hi no Ishi, the Will of Fire, now said, and Hinata chuckled inwardly. Of course, it had to be Iruka lecturing the Will of Fire. He said that everyone in Konoha was like a big family. Everyone took care and protected each other. I wanted to believe in that so much, since I never had anything like that after my parents died. I chose not to complete the mission and returned to give Fugaku the news. It was then that I learned that it was him that killed my sister, now said gritting her teeth. I thought my sister died when we swapped eyes, and I blame myself for it. I wanted power so much that I forced my sister to trade eyes, and she paid the price. But it was Fugaku all along. He killed her because she wouldn't follow his orders anymore. I got so mad. Fugaku had taken the last person I had in my life. I fought him to avenge my sister, but I was defeated and left to die. But Itachi, of all people, found me and brought me here to my new home. Now said, smiling. I just don't want to be alone anymore. Now said, and Hinata quickly hugged her again. You are not alone anymore, now Chen. Hinata said, as Nao's eyes began watering again. You have a new family now, and you have Itachi back again, Hinata said, and both split apart. Thank you, Nao said. Nao gave her a real smile, like she hadn't smiled like that in years. Say, Hinata began, and now focused on her. Have you confessed to Itachi yet? Hinata asked, and now blushed, looking away. Hinata just giggled at her newest friend, easing the ambience. No? Now started out her answer. Why not? Hinata asked, confused. What if he doesn't like me? Now asked slowly. She couldn't handle rejection right now. He was willing to beg Naruto to save you, Hinata replied, smiling, and now was surprised. Itachi might not have inherited his clan's arrogance, but he had pride in his own way. And for him to be willing to beg so she could be saved? You think he likes me? Now asked, slightly blushing. She felt like she was a schoolgirl again. Like she had felt when she told her older sister she liked Itachi a few years ago. I know he does, Hinata said, and now nodded. What should I do? Now asked, panicking, and bringing her hands to her warm cheeks. She never had any female friends to talk about things like this. And talking to her older sister wasn't exactly the same thing. This is what you will do, Hinata said, and she whispered into Nao's ears. With Naruto and Itachi. Naruto and Itachi were eating peacefully together at the kitchen when Itachi suddenly shivered. You alright? Naruto asked when he noticed Itachi suddenly shifted uncomfortably in his chair. I feel like something bad is about to happen, Itachi said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. Suddenly the kitchen door opened and both Hinata and Nao walked in, giggling like crazy. That can't be a good thing, both Naruto and Itachi thought to themselves, gulping as they watched the two girls approach. Up, boys, Hinata said, and both Naruto and Itachi rose from the table. Hinata's voice didn't leave much margin for disagreement. Now Chan, Hinata said, gaining her attention. Activate your Sharingan and do as I do, Hinata said, and walked forward until she was face to face with Naruto, who was wondering where this was going. Now nodded as her eyes changed into blood red as she focused solely on Hinata. Hinata looked Naruto dead in the eyes as she cutely bit her bottom lip in anticipation. Hinata reached for Naruto with her hand, brushing his golden hair out of the way, her hand softly caressing his right cheek, getting a small purr due to his sensitive whiskers. Hinata smiled as she wrapped her arms around his neck and felt Naruto's own arms wrapping themselves around her waist, pulling her closer. Hinata could feel his hot breath. They were but an inch apart. Of course. Ramen, Hinata thought to herself, smelling his breath. She leaned in, closer and closer, until their lips grazed together. Hinata looked Naruto in the eyes as she closed her own. She leaned in firmly, yet seductively, and their lips met. Hinata could feel Naruto's quick inhale pulling air from her lungs. Naruto pulled her closer, holding her tightly, feeling the race of her heart, the softness of her lips, and her intoxicating smell. Hinata had completely forgotten about Nao, as both of them were in their own world. Their lips started pulling apart, but both remained in each other's arms. Their breathing came out in short and in quick gasps as the world around them began to slowly come back into focus. Wow, Naruto breathed out while Hinata just hummed in his chest, until she remembered the purpose of all this. Hinata cleared her throat, trying to clear the ambience after such a public display of affection. Thump, thump. Both which she has fell to the floor with a small trail of blood on their noses. Those two are made for each other, Naruto replied, chuckling. Yes, they are. Can you picture the awkward position they'll wake up in? Hinata chuckled evilly as she eyed both unconscious Uchihas on the ground, with Nao lying on top of Itachi. Naruto looked down at his waist. Then he looked at Hinata, who raised an eyebrow, and finally looked back to his steaming bowl of ramen. Having decided on his choice, he took Hinata's hand and dragged her away. Where are we going? Hinata asked, confused, as she was being led by Naruto somewhere. We're going to have sex, Naruto simply said. Okay? Hinata replied confused while Naruto nodded his head. You can't kiss me like that and not take responsibility. Next day, Hokage's office. Thank you all for coming, Tsunade said as she looked at the 5 shinobi in front of her. Senju Naruto, Senju Hinata, Tenten, Naruto Shikamaru, and finally Rock Lee. All 5 Chunin were staying in perfect stance in front of their leader. Yesterday, I received a letter from Kumo with a very interesting proposal, Tsunade cryptically said, raising a few eyebrows and a particular bushy one. Kumo sent us a letter inviting us for Chunin exams as they decided to host them, Tsunade said, and Naruto was surprised. I've never heard of the Chunin exams. Are they like the Chunin exams? Naruto asked curious, and Tsunade smirked. The Chunin exams are a very special event, even more so than the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams are only hosted once in every 5 years, and only when there have been long times of peace, Tsunade informed, and Naruto nodded his head. It's been almost 20 years since the end of the Third Great Ninja War, and Kuma decided to host this event and sent us a letter inviting us. While these exams might seem like any others, I assure you they're not. Only the strongest of the Chunin are sent into these exams. The contestants are the strongest and most influential of each village, and most likely, they will occupy positions of power later on, Tsunade explained, and everyone nodded, convinced to do their best in the exams. Suits you well, Naruto, Tenten began drawing Naruto's attention to her. You were always one shying about becoming Hokage. Maybe, Naruto replied, and everyone did a double take. Maybe? Hinata asked in disbelief. You gave up on being Hokage? Hinata asked shocked. She never even suspected such a thing. Not gave up per se. I just realized the truth, Naruto began, and everyone listened. At first, I wanted to be Hokage so that everyone would acknowledge me, but I already have that. Then I wanted to be Hokage to protect the whole village, and I realized the truth when I went to the mist. I don't need to be Hokage to protect everyone I care for. Being Hokage is just a bonus, really. I have everything I need right now. I'm respected and acknowledged. I have friends, family, and my beautiful wife, Naruto said, and everyone just stared at him. What happened to the blonde loudmouth that always shouted about being Hokage back at the academy? What do you know? The brat is growing up, Tsunade smiled to herself. Hinata smiled since she felt the exact same way. After being expelled from her clan, she gained her mother back, a new family, and now she had her husband. My husband? Hinata thought to herself, giggling in her mind and bringing her hands to her cheeks. Anyway, I chose 2 3-man teams. First team will be Tenten, Rock Lee, and Naruto Shikamaru. And the last team will be Senju Naruto, Senju Hinata, and a third member who will be arriving shortly, Tsunade explained. Yosh! I shall show Kumo the flames of youth! Lee suddenly shouted with fire burning in his eyes. Naruto-kun, I challenge you! Lee roared, pumping his fist and making Naruto take a step back. How about no, Naruto said. Damn you, Naruto-kun, and your hip ways! Lee said, crying anime tears. Everyone just chuckled at their antics. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered beneath his breath. So our third member is Shino-kun? Hinata asked, but Tsunade shook her head in denial. I offered him the chance to participate and bring back Team 8, but he's busy with his clan, Tsunade said, and Hinata nodded. It was a shame, as it had been a while since she had last seen Shino. Only us? Naruto rhetorically asked. I thought more of her age group would want to participate, Naruto said in retrospect. Neji is already a Jonin, so he was already out. Tamari, Kankuro, and Ino became full-time apprentices under Anko and Ibiki in the interrogation and torture department. Gar said something about working with Fu and their bijus. Shoji, Kiba, and Shino were busy with their clans. You were all that remains, Tsunade explained, putting down the sheets. Don't worry, Bachan. We'll kick some ass, Naruto said, giving her a thumbs up and making her shake her head. Shikamaru, Tenten, Lee, you are dismissed. Naruto-chan and Hinata-chan, you stay and wait for the third member, Tsunade said, making Naruto glare at her. He could hear Tenten giggling all the way out at Naruto's nickname. When Naruto was alone in the office with Tsunade and Hinata, he turned to his grandmother. You have any more intel on the Akatsuki's movements? Naruto asked. He felt the Anbu's chakra signature, and they were the ones he trusted. Jiraiya has his spy network after remembrance, but they are hard to track down. They are all S-rank shinobi, you know, Tsunade asks, and Naruto nods, sighing. They already have 5 of the 9 Bijus. Only the Hachibi from Kumo, me, Gar, and Fu remain, Naruto said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. How do you know that? Tsunade asked, curious. I'm connected to the statue, and I can feel their chakra inside it. I would summon the statue and release them, but I want to destroy their Rinnegan first, Naruto explained, and Tsunade nodded. That will have to wait, Tsunade said, until she remembers something. About your new teammate, Tsunade began, gaining the attention of both Naruto and Hinata. Keep an eye on him, Tsunade advised, and both of them were surprised by such an expression. Why? Naruto wondered. He's from Root. He was appointed by Danzo to, and I quote, protect the Senju heir in Kyujin Turkey at all costs, Tsunade said. Interesting, Naruto hummed, scratched his chin. Danzo knows I can handle myself, Naruto said. I wonder what you are up to now, Naruto added, thinking about the one-eyed mummy. Enter, Tsunade said, raising from her chair as a door opened. Both Naruto and Hinata turned around to see who would be the first member of their team in the Jonin exams. He had short black hair and black eyes, which contrasts his very pale skin. He carried a small backpack with his brush, scrolls, and ninja ink in it. He wore a short black jacket with red straps. He also carried a tipless tanto on his back. The rest of his outfit consisted of a high-collared midriff shirt, black pants, shinobi sandals, and gloves with his index and thumb fingers exposed, most likely to facilitate the use of his drawing-based techniques. Welcome, Sai, Tsunade said, greeting the newcomer and approaching him. This is my grandson, Naruto-chan, and my apprentice, Hinata-chan, Tsunade said, and Naruto's eyes twitched at his name once again. It seemed that he would live it for the rest of his life. Sai walked in with a neutral face without a care in the world. Hokage-sama, Senju-sama, Hinata-sama, Sai said, slightly bowing his head. Nothing of that, Sai-kun. Hinata waved off the formal greetings, getting a smile from the boy. Pleasure to meet you, Sai said, shaking Hinata's open hand. Ugly. Everything froze after that comment. Even the handshaking motion came to a halt as everyone blanked to try and come up with another possible word that might have been mistaken for. In the end, no one thought of any plausible alternative, and Hinata immediately retracted her hand. On second thought, Hinata-sama seems good, Hinata replied, her eyes twitching, while Naruto on the other hand was trying to suppress a laugh, much to her irritation. You're lucky she isn't violent, otherwise you would already be buried, Naruto thought to himself, chuckling. And of course, the Senju heir. A pleasure, Sai said, shaking Naruto's hand as well. Dickless. Now, Hinata wasn't violent, but Naruto did have a short fuse. Naruto's eyes twitched as his Sharingan almost came to life. Sai, Tsunade called, making him turn and give her the same smile. Do you want to die? Tsunade rhetorically asked. Because that is how you die, Tsunade said, nodding her head while Hinata held Naruto back from frying Sai. Now that the introductions are over, Tsunade said, chuckling weakly, with Naruto and Hinata giving Sai side looks. The exams are in 2 weeks. I'll have blue and green as your joining senseis to the exams, Tsunade said, and threw Naruto a knowing look. With the Akatsuki out there, a wandering Jinchuriki was like a free piece of meat, although Naruto could take care of himself. Rendezvous tomorrow at dawn, Tsunade said, and everyone left. Tsunade sat down at her desk and went to pick up her cup of sake when the cup suddenly cracked. I have a bad feeling about all this, Tsunade thought to herself, gulping down the sake and burying down her superstitions. Next day, Konoha Gates. Are you all ready? Blue Toriyama asked towards the 6 shinobi in front of him. Hinata, Naruto, and Sai formed one team, while Shikamaru, Lee, and Tenten were with the other one. Accompanying the 2 teams was the Blue Dragon Toriyama and the Green Dragon Hashirama. And you are? Tenten asked the masked man. I will be acting as your joining sensei during the exams while Blue takes Naruto's team, Green replied. What is up with the mask? Tenten asked, suspicious. The mask serves its purpose. Our identity is an S-class secret only known to Hokage and our group, Blue explained, and Tenten hummed and fought. I heard about the Dragons of Konoha. They're supposed to be this elite group that takes only the most dangerous and difficult missions for our village. They report only to the Hokage, Tenten said. Troublesome. Just ask Naruto. He's the leader of the group and one of the highest ranking officers in the village, even higher than the Anbu commander, Shikamaru explained, making Tenten's eyes pop in surprise. Her neck snapped towards Naruto so fast that it nearly broke. Is he serious? Tenten asked, pointing towards Naruto, for arms shaking. He is, Naruto simply replied. Naruto flexed his arms around his silver armor. On his back was his trusted fan, and in his comic dimension, his staff. On his wrist, several sword shields with kunai, shuriken, the works. In fact, both Naruto and Hinata were in their standard dragon uniform. You may say they grew attached to it as it provides so much more armor than the regular chainmail. So, who is Blue? Tenten asked. Sorry, Tenten, S-class secret, Naruto replied, and Tenten pouted. Blue placed 2 fingers in his mouth and took a deep breath. Blue unleashed a loud whistle that ran across the gates of Konoha and high into the skies. 4 dragons suddenly dropped from the cloud banks and plummeted towards the ground at neck-breaking speeds. As they arrived near the ground, they flapped their wings, creating a cloud of dust and blocking everyone's view. They landed on their respective owners' shoulders. You cold? Blue Dragon asked. Tenten's jaw dropped at the creature staying on his shoulder. Blue's scales and eyes were the color of sapphires, an intense blue that refracted the light. His talons and spikes on his neck, back, and tail were a dull blue. Like all dragons, he had white, sharp, knife-like, meat-shearing teeth. His body stature could be inferred as very aerodynamic and built for flying. Keep your eyes open in the sky for possible ambushes, Blue Tarama said, as the dragons left their owners and returned to where they belonged, the skies. Is that a dragon? Tenten asked in disbelief. She had only heard of dragons in books and fairy tales, but to see one here, alive and talking, was another story. Perks of the group, Blue Tarama said, smirking behind his mask, and Tenten just pouted. The little thing, although had a feral look, looked adorable to her. Let's get on with this, shall we? Green Hashirama grumbled as everyone nodded and left the gates, walking towards Kumo, where the joining exams would take place. Danzo-san would want to know about this, Sai thought to himself, watching the dragon disappear into the sky. Middle of the road. Still grumpy about it, Naruto asked towards Green, who remained silent, making Naruto sigh towards him. He didn't know what else to do. Sure, Hashirama was angry at Naruto's decision to wipe out the Uchiha clan, but he should have understood. I don't understand why he had to wipe out the whole clan, Green said, looking at the sky. It wasn't even a battle to begin with. It was a slaughter. Maybe you are too blind to see it, Blue Tarama said, making Green Hashirama turn towards his younger brother. You grew up with Madara as a brother of sorts. Maybe you are too close to his clan to make the right calls, and we both know that it cost us back in the old days, Blue said, while Green sighed. Madara? Shikamaru thought himself, not paying attention to the conversation. Both Naruto and Hinata caught Toroma's reference to Madara but let it slip, as no one seemed to take note of it with the exception of Shikamaru, which opened a single eye. You are too soft, brother, Blue said, sighing. Why are you so against it? You want peace, don't you? Naruto asked in a serious voice. Naruto knew how much Hashirama had struggled to find peace, and yet he wasn't able to make sacrifices. But not at the cost of lives, Green replied. And that is why you never reached it, Naruto simply answered. That's cold, Green said, but Naruto disagreed. Realistic, Naruto countered. There is only one answer to peace, and some people just can't be in the new world, Naruto explained while Green sighed. He's right, you know, Shikamaru rhetorically asked, and everyone turned towards him, surprised to see him talk of all people. Troublesome. One bad seed can wreck a whole crop, Shikamaru yawned, as he began cloud watching again. I'll refrain from judging until later on, Green said. So, are we good? Naruto asked, and Green nodded, making Naruto grin. I still want a dragon, Tenten pouted, making Naruto chuckle. Kumogakur. Kumogakur, the hidden village of the Light Country founded by the very first Raikage. The village is located in a range of tall mountains and is literally hidden in the clouds. The Raikage works in a large blue structure built into the tallest mountains. The mountains provide a natural defense against any incursion as their shinobi have higher ground. This place hasn't changed one bit, Green says. He looked around the village. The village's structure was exactly how he remembered it. You speak as someone who hasn't come here in many years. You don't seem that old, Shikamaru lazily pointed out. Stop overanalyzing every word I say. It's freaking me out, Green said, annoyed by the Nara's behavior. What he didn't know was that both Blue and Green had sparked Shikamaru's curiosity, and that was never a good thing for a Nara. Hi. Shikamaru waved him off as he yawned loudly. Damn kids, Green fought himself, crossing his arms in surrender. Yosh! Lee yelled with fire in his eyes. Let's show them the flame! Lee dropped to the ground as Blue had hit his neck, effectively knocking him out. What did you do to Lee? Tenten yelled as she rushed to her fallen teammate. He was loud and annoying, and the exams only start in 2 days, Blue said, and walked off into his room at the hotel. Everyone had their own separate rooms, with Naruto and Hinata sharing their own. 2 days later. First exam of the joining exams, begin. That is the end of chapter 51. Now we can move on to chapter 52, which is called the first stage, which is the second chapter in the joining exams arc. So here we go. Chapter 52, the first stage. Steps were heard echoing along a dark corridor. The walls were made completely out of dark stone and was almost pitch black, if not for a couple torches that provided some needed light. The person walked around calmly through the halls, completely undisturbed by some background noises that could be heard. The person stepped forward into some light, allowing some features to be displayed. The man appeared as a frail old man who was walking with a cane in his left hand. He had black shaggy hair and his right eye was bandaged. He had a X-shaped scar on it over his chin ever since his youth. He wore a white shirt with a black or dark gray robe over top of it, covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. The robe conceals his right arm, which is bandaged and covered with 3 big golden braces. The man kept walking forward until he reached what resembled a reception desk. It seemed somewhat strange to find a reception desk in what clearly resembled catacombs, but he didn't seem surprised. Danzo-sama, what can I do for you? The man behind the desk asked, bowing to the elder. I wish to speak with one of the inmates, Danzo simply said in a monotone tone. Of course. Which one? The receptionist asked, and Danzo approached him, whispering the inmate's name. I'm afraid that he's under special circumstances. Hokage-sama has forbidden any visitor, the receptionist explained weakly. I trust that won't be a problem, right? Danzo asked, his voice betraying none of his displeasure. Although his voice was calm, it was far enough to scare the poor receptionist to death. Of course not. Right this way, receptionist said, gulping and leaning Danzo towards the right cell. Here we are, the man said, and Danzo stepped forward, peering into the cell. Leave us, Danzo ordered, and the receptionist quickly obeyed. Proceeding to bolt from there, Danzo shifted his attention back to the man inside the cell. The man was clad in a simple gray jumpsuit. The particular thing about this man was that he was missing his right arm. What a pitiful state you're in, Hiyashi, Danzo said, and the man inside the cell opened his eyes to reveal the Byakugan. Come to gloat, Danzo? Hiyashi asked weakly. He was a broken man. Everything he ever fought for had been stolen from his hands. Hardly, Danzo replied before taking a good look at him. Hiyashi was held in the corner, concealed by the shadows. I've come with an offer, Danzo explained. Really? Hiyashi asked suspiciously. And what could you possibly offer me? Hiyashi asked, somewhat amused by the man's attempts. You should be more grateful. So now I want to ship you away to the blood prison, Danzo said, and a shiver ran down Hiyashi's spine. As to my offer, how about you get your clan back and enact justice against those who put you in here, Danzo offered, but was met with a laugh. Hiyashi was laughing loud like some crazy man. You are delusional, Danzo. How exactly do you wish to accomplish such a feat? Hiyashi asked, amused. You still have faithful followers from the main house that occupy several positions of power in the village. All I ask is your and their cooperation, and in return, I'll give you your freedom back, Danzo offered, and Hiyashi was about to laugh again when he saw the serious face of Danzo. You are serious, Hiyashi said, surprised. I don't joke, Danzo replied, and Hiyashi started thinking. What are you planning? Hiyashi asked seriously. All the laughter and amusement were gone. I shall tell you if you accept my terms, Danzo replied. I accept, Hiyashi said, and Danzo nodded and simply turned away, flicking something over his shoulder towards Hiyashi. What's this? Hiyashi asked as he snatched a small ball. It seemed like a food pill. Your freedom, Danzo said and walked out, leaving Hiyashi to his choices. Hiyashi lost sight of Danzo and returned his gaze back to the pill in his hand. Making his choice, he swallowed it with a shred of hesitation and waited for the effects. Hiyashi's chest started warming up and suddenly he clutched his chest as pain shot through his body. Arrgh! Hiyashi screamed as he felt his chest heaving up, making it almost impossible to breathe. Several guards rushed towards Hiyashi's cell, but they were too late, and simply found him lying on the ground, completely unmoving. One of the guards opened the cell and crouched beside him. He's dead, the guard replied, checking his pulse. He took notice as to how his single hand was clutching his chest. Most likely a heart attack. Inform the Hokage and take him away, the guard replied. Danzo smiled from the reception desk as he looked towards the receptionist and his Sharingan glowed, erasing any evidence he ever stepped foot in the prison. Senju compound. Everything was rather quiet inside the Senju compound. It was to be expected since the last of the inhabitants, this being Naruto and Hashirama, had gone to Kumo. Naruto was going to participate in the upcoming Jonin exams, while Hashirama and his brother Toriyama would pose as their senseis. The living room in the Senju compound was simple, outfitted with a couple of individual couches and 2 larger ones. A few plants in the corners and a couple of paints on the walls made the room livelier. 3 bookcases were also nearby the wall, providing a couple of books for passing time to anyone who that so wished. Some books were about the Senju clan, their history and deeds for the history, while others branched out from geography to general fiction. Dry had been denied, rather painfully might add if you ask him, his humble request to display his magnificent work on said bookshelf. Everyone in the compound was already of age, so having porn on the bookcase should be allowed. These were his thoughts when he approached his princess to reward him with a well-placed chakra-enhanced punch. At least Tsunade had allowed him to place his first novel to tell the utterly gutsy shinobi, so it wasn't all bad. Tsunade walked into the compound and simply made her way straight towards the living room. Her only thoughts were plopping down on one of those soft couches and maybe taking a nap, or something. It had been a frustrating day to say the least, and this time it wasn't paperwork that plagued her dreams. No, this time it was the damn council meetings. At first, she had the decency to not send a Shao clone in her stead. First, it was a request for a funding petition by the head nurse with both Shizune and Hinata's signatures on it. Hinata was smart enough to only sign when she was away from the village. Shizune, however, wasn't so lucky and was on the receiving end of a tired and pissed Senju. Next problem were those damn civilians always complaining about their rights. Tsunade shook her head, pushing away stressing thoughts as she entered the living room and was greeted with an interesting sight. She looked over to the couch where now was calmly sitting with Itachi's head on her lap. She was running her hands through his hair while Itachi had his eyes closed, enjoying the moment. My, Tsunade said with clear amusement, making both of them jump at the sound of her voice. They were so entranced with each other that they didn't sense her entering the room. Who would have thought that now would be the one to tame the great Itachi Uchiha? Tsunade said, chuckling. You're one to talk, now snorted. Senju Tsunade, the legendary slug princess of Konoha. Tamed by a pervert, now replied in amusement, making a Senju choke. You have something to say? Tsunade roared, making now jump from her couch and stare at Tsunade. Yes, I do, old hag, now replied, smirking, sparks flying across their eyes. I was having such a good dream, Itachi thought to himself as he sat upright and watched Now and Tsunade bicker until he decided enough was enough. Now, enough! Itachi's voice echoed through the room with enough authority to make both women flinch. Oh! Now Aku with stars in her eyes as she rushed Itachi. I love it when you take charge, Now said, hugging Itachi, while Tsunade gaped like a fish out of water. I don't even want to know, Tsunade thought as she looked over to both Uchihas and then to another couch. You don't intend to cuddle or do any display of affection, right? Tsunade wondered. It was common sense to keep public displays of affection somewhat restrained, but Uchihas were strange people. You are safe, Hokage-sama, Itachi said, while now pouted but remained by his side. You don't have to call me down here, Itachi. Besides, officially, you're still a missing shinobi, Tsunade explained, sighing in comfort as she plopped down on one of the soft couches. Respect is due where respect is due, Itachi simply replied in his traditional monotone voice. By the way, Tsunade started, what do you both intend to do now? Tsunade asked, curious. Honestly, I have no idea. I planned from the beginning to die at Sasuke's hands. I didn't count on living much longer than that because of my illness, Itachi said, and felt now grip his arm tighter. She didn't even want to consider losing Itachi. I have a proposition for both of you, Tsunade said, smiling. Proposition? Now asked, confused. Yes. What is your favorite color? Tsunade asked, smirking, while both Uchihas just stared at her like she was crazy. Kumo. Saying that Naruto was excited was an understatement. The man was downright thrilled. He had enough adrenaline pumping through his veins to kill a normal person. The reason for all this excitement? Dozens of competitors stood in his front. Naruto had counted at least 20 different forest protectors, some from villages he hadn't even heard of. It was interesting to say the least. While these exams were non-traditional as they were only hosted every 5 years, the amount of competition was similar to that of the Chunin exams. Jonin did get access to higher paying missions, so maybe that was the reason. Maybe it was the honor and fame of being a Jonin, the elite of the village. On the other hand, Jonin missions were far more difficult and risky. Hinata was amused at Naruto's expression. Any more and he would be practically bouncing like some 5-year-old kid on a sugar rush. She was surprised when she saw the amount of competition. Tsunade did say it was a big event, even bigger than Chunin exams, but Hinata had underestimated it. Her Byakugan flared as she did a quick checkup of the competition. Only after a quick glance she could accurately guess just who would most likely pass the earlier stages of the exam. Judging by chakra levels alone, everyone seemed normal with a few having bigger reserves, barring high Jonin level. Although she and Naruto easily dwarfed anyone in there, and she had big reserves, but Naruto's amount was insane. He was almost blind to look at with her Byakugan focused on him.
I don't see what the excitement's all about,
Kurama said from within his mind.
I sense no one of worth in here.
It's not just about fighting powerful opponents, Kurama, Naruto explained. Think about the jutsus we'll see, the different taijutsu styles and weapons, and maybe some bloodlines, Naruto replied giddy while Kurama's sweat dropped. It's starting, Hinata whispered, and Naruto quieted down almost immediately. His attention was drawn to the man walking to the stage. He was a fairly tall, dark-skinned man with a slightly bulbous nose, shaggy white hair which colored his left eye. He wore a high-collared sleeveless uniform with loose-fitting pants, bandages on his wrist, and the one strap over one shoulder flak jacket of a Kumagaki shinobi. He supported a bored look that reminded Naruto of Kakashi. I've seen him somewhere, Naruto muttered to himself. He was Raikage's bodyguard during our Chunin exams, Hinata said. I remember him now. I wonder how everyone else is doing around here, Naruto said out loud, but was shushed by Hinata as Darui was about to speak. My name is Darui, and I'm in charge of Jonin exams. I will be explaining how the exams will work, so pay attention as I will only say this once, Darui said, and everyone quieted down. Much like Chunin exams, these exams will be divided into 3 sections. In the first stage, we'll be doing an evaluation of personal and team skills in different areas. The second stage will be an objective-driven race with competitive action between the teams. The third and final stage will be a tournament much like a Chunin exams. Any questions? What are the promotion specifications? Some shinobi yelled from the crowd. Only participants that reach the first stage are eligible for promotion, Darui explained. Any more questions? Darui asked, but was met with silence. Very well. Proceed to the barracks for testing, and good luck to all of you, Darui ordered, and watched as the crowd quickly dissipated. At the barracks, Naruto's team arrived at testing grounds where the first stage was taking place. He could feel chakra being unleashed in waves and sound of metal clashing. He figured it was some kind of physical test. What a drag. This was the random thought of the person sitting behind the counter at the barracks. She seemed to be scribbling something on some piece of paper and had an obvious bored look. They put me, a Jonin, to do this shit? The red hair thought to herself inside when she felt another team approach. State origin, team number, and members, the red hair asked, not even bothering to raise her head to see the contestants. Konoha, team number 24, members Senju Hinata, Senju Naruto, and Sai, Hinata said, and the red-haired female instantly rose her head to see Hinata's long, dark blue hair and her white eyes. Hinata? The red-haired female said, surprised to see her. Karuи? Hinata asked in surprise. Haven't seen you since the tuning exams, Hinata said, and Karui nodded. And you brought Naruto as well, Karui said, greeting the blonde who waved. So, how's life around here, Hinata asked, while Naruto sat on the ground knowing very well where this was going. Sai looked at him with a puzzled expression. You'll see, Naruto murmured, and pointing towards Hinata and Karui, who were already deep into their conversation. They were talking like they were old friends. Sorry about Yugito-chan, though, Hinata said, and Karui gritted her teeth. Those zombie bastards will taste the tip of my blade, Karui snarled, and Naruto rose an eyebrow. If you are talking about Kakazu and Hidan, then it's too late. I've already reduced them to ash, Naruto said, and Karui was surprised to hear that they had both been killed. You killed them? Karui was skeptical, but Naruto nodded nonetheless. She wanted to be the one to exact revenge and justice on them, but Naruto had already gone to them first. In the end, it didn't matter. They got what they deserved. Serves them right for taking Yugito-chan. Thank you, Karui thanked Naruto, knowing that Yugito had been avenged. Anyways, Karui said as she started writing the details in her notebook and took a small disc with a number on it. Here's your number. Wait for your turn and good luck. See you around, Hinata replied, and Naruto's team walked off and into the testing grounds. Testing grounds. Naruto, Hinata, and Sai entered through the stone gates and arrived at some huge arena. There were huge stone walls surrounding the earth grounds. To Naruto's left, there was what seemed to be an obstacle course. Behind that was a small forest, and Naruto could sense tons of booby traps spread all around the trees and the ground. Welcome, the examiner said as 3 contestants stopped near him. The first stage of these exams consists of an advanced obstacle course, testing you in speed and strength. Additionally, you'll be tested in taijutsu, genjutsu, ninjutsu, and other categories you choose for additional points. The final part will be a team exercise which consists of infiltrating an outpost located in the forest. The examiner explained, pointing towards the small forest not too far away. Teams with the highest points proceed to the second stage. Sounds simple enough, Hinata said, and Naruto nodded. Which additional categories are available? Sai asked with a smiling face, which seemed to scare the crap out of the examiner. Anything really. I myself am well versed in taijutsu, ninjutsu, and genjutsu. Any other categories will be tested by my comrades, the examiner explained, and Sai nodded. Senju Naruto, the examiner called, and Naruto stepped forward. Your objective is to go through the obstacle course, collect a small flag at the end, and return as fast as you can. Jutsus and or chakra enhancement are strictly forbidden. A sensor is monitoring these evaluations, and any infraction means instant failure of these exams. Understood? The examiner warned, and Naruto nodded. When you're ready, the examiner said, and Naruto stepped onto the line. He did a quick overlook of the obstacle course, and it seemed pretty straightforward. Naruto bent slightly forward, bending his knees and waiting for the examiner's signal. He shifted his attention to some blue-haired shinobi on the right side with his eyes closed and making a ram seal. Start! The examiner said. When the sound of the timer's button hit Naruto's ears, he shot forward, leaving a dust trail behind. A split second after the start, and Naruto had already arrived at the first obstacle. A simple wooden horizontal bar, raised 1/2 meters from the ground and followed by 3 more in quick succession. Naruto jumped forward like a lion pouncing on his target. He placed both hands on the wooden bar for support. He curled his arms and propelled forward using his arms. Having calculated the required amount of strength, he landed right past the 4 wooden bars, concluding the first obstacle in a single movement. Time 1.5 seconds. Naruto didn't rise to his proper height before landing. He curled himself again and blurred forward, his armor cringing, its metal plates flapping together with each step he took. Naruto raised his head slightly as he spotted his next obstacle, a solid 10 feet high wooden wall that he assumed he had to climb. Naruto made a small push and jumped far enough for his right hand to latch itself to the top. The examiner's jaw dropped when Naruto lifted himself up with a single arm. Even the censor was surprised by the amount of strength displayed. Raising himself completely from the air with a single arm and without proper grip was nothing too easy to accomplish. Naruto grinned to land on the other side of the wall and proceeded. Time 3 seconds. Naruto arrived at some vertical ladders, but these were made of rope instead of solid wood. Not thinking much about it, Naruto jumped as high as he could and lashed himself onto the ropes, proceeding to climb out without any difficulties. His coordination was perfect. Time 6 seconds. As Naruto arrived at the top, he spotted long circular wooden beams, almost as large as tree trunks, laying down into the ground level. Naruto carefully analyzed the round and slippery surface, and any slip-up would mean falling hard onto the ground. Having this in mind, he quickly ran down and arrived at the final obstacle. The final obstacle was nothing but a single rope that Naruto had to climb vertically. Naruto jumped onto the rope and began to easily climb it. He was certainly strong enough to lift his own body weight with a single hand. He arrived at the top and snatched the flag he needed before sliding down the rope and laying on the ground. Time 7.8 seconds. With the flag in its position, the final piece of this obstacle course was a simple race to the point of origin, without needing to go through the obstacles again. Naruto bent forward and shot forward, leaving a cloud of dust. Every step he took, the ground would crack from the strength he put behind each step. Naruto didn't stop near the examiner and simply continued running at full speed, until he crossed the examiner. He came to a halt, leaving the dust trail behind him as he finished the obstacle course. The examiner waved his hands wildly to clear the dust. Final time, 9.5 seconds. Congratulations, Naruto-san. You just moved to the second spot, the examiner said, pointing towards the electronic board, where Naruto's name ranks second in the obstacle course with 9.5 seconds, only surpassed by Rock Lee with 8 seconds. Can't say I'm surprised. The guy's workout is insane, Naruto thought to himself. Looks like hard work does be a genius, Naruto chuckled out loud. I don't see the genius, Hinata said with a straight face. Hinata-chan, Naruto whined while Hinata giggled at his antics. Sai simply observed the interaction between the couple. They certainly weren't your usual married couple. Sai, Naruto said, and Sai turned to Naruto, making a shiver run up his spine. Enough of that smile, it's freaking me out. It feels like you were going to kill me in my sleep, Naruto said, and Sai dropped his smile, getting a neutral face. Naruto sighed someone and walked to the examiner's side and allowed Sai and Hinata to take their turn. Hinata did her best, but had a downside of most of her strength being enhanced by chakra. Still, she managed to easily secure the 5th place, with Sai taking 10th place. Having completed the first exam of the first stage, the examiner led them towards some testing dummies for a taijutsu test. Second part of this exam is to go through the dummies, while performing your taijutsu katas as fast as you can. Say your taijutsu style for reference, the examiner said, and Hinata stepped forward this time. Gentle fist taijutsu style, Hinata said, and the examiner happily wrote it down, stepping aside as Hinata stepped forward. She looked around them, counting around 5 dummies who were about to receive a very cruel punishment. Is chakra allowed now? Hinata asked, and the examiner nodded. When you're ready, the examiner said, and clicked on his timer. Hinata disappeared from her position and began running for her katas. She didn't even seem to be touching the dummies. She did her katas with such grace that the proctor almost thought she was dancing. She appeared next to the examiner only for a split second later, just in time to see all dummies crack at once. They burst into pieces and simply fell to the ground completely destroyed. Nothing bigger than half an arm had remained, as the dummies seemed to have been severed in all joints. Amazing, the examiner said, while Hinata smiled at her success. She looked over at the scoreboard and watched as her name appeared in first place. Sai went next, and this time, Naruto's eyes were solely focused on him. Both Naruto and Hinata had read Sai's file, but it didn't say much besides that he had searing skills and used ink-style jutsus, whatever that was. The only thing Naruto ever used ink for was seals. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the style that Sai had employed. It was ruthless, for lack of a better word. Each strike had a purpose behind it. There were no feints or anything else. Every strike was either to cripple or kill the opponent. It was a bastardized version of the Anbu style, a far more deadly version. Naruto went next, and although his style wasn't as refined as Hinata's, he still got the job done, finishing in second. Next portion is Genjutsu, the examiner said, and Naruto nodded, his Sharingan blazing to life. Naruto displayed some of the Genjutsu he knew. It wasn't really his thing. Unlike Itachi, Naruto preferred to attack the enemy's body instead of his mind. The only Genjutsu he had actually even borrowed to properly train was Tsukuyomi, so that he could awaken his Susanoo. But that didn't stop him from claiming the first spot as well. Just because he didn't like it, it didn't mean he wasn't good at it. Both Hinata and Sai went next, but they managed to score even lower than Naruto. He didn't blame him though. Genjutsu was such an unpopular area that the few that had decent control were already a threat. I mean, look at Itachi. He can defeat an enemy using only Genjutsu. He doesn't even need to move from his place. Last section of this evaluation before the team exercise is ninjutsu, the examiner said. Finally, the good part arrives, Naruto said, rubbing his hands together, while the examiner was tempted to take a step back when he saw the crazy glint in his eyes. And it wasn't a Sharingan he had seen. Yes, the examiner coughed into his hand to suppress the shiver. You need to display a few non-elemental jutsu, along with at least 2 natures, the examiner said, and Naruto didn't even give the chance to Hinata's side to step forward. He was just that excited. What's first? Naruto asked. You decide, the examiner replied, and was surprised when he saw a spinning ball of silver chakra in Naruto's hand. Rasengan, Naruto said, and the examiner nodded, writing something about excellent shape manipulation. Shaokun Jutsu, Naruto said, placing his hands in a T sign. A single clone popped into life. Naruto looked at the examiner and he nodded. Shadow Clone Explosion! The clone that Naruto created suddenly exploded, ripping a chunk of the ground. Very good. What are your chakra natures? The examiner asked. I have all 5 of them, Naruto said, and the examiner stopped writing to look at Naruto. The examiner blinked as Naruto simply nodded. Anyways, please perform some jutsus for our nature, the examiner said, and watch as Naruto perform a single horse hand seal. Katan, Goka Mikyaku, Great Fire Annihilation. A barrage of fire was expunged from Naruto's mouth. It scorched the ground, decimating what little had remained from the previous wood dummies. Yes, excellent, the examiner replied weakly after witnessing the devastation. It seems fire nature is good. How about some light nature, and this time keep below S rank, the examiner said, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders but complied anyway. Raiton, Ryudan, Lightning Dragon. Naruto's hands sparkled with blue electricity as a dragon erupted from his palms. The dragon roared before boring towards Naruto's target and exploded, leaving behind a crater and sparks flying everywhere. Very good, Naruto-san, the examiner said, and Naruto stepped away, looking at the scoreboard where his name had claimed the first spot, and with a very healthy lead above the competition. Hinata went next and claimed the second spot, just a few points behind Naruto. Sai, the examiner called, and Sai stepped forward. Both Naruto and Hinata focused their attention solely on the third member of their team. Sai was an enigma to say the least. He was always throwing around that creepy smile of his, and he never engaged in a conversation with them. Sai just sat there, watched them unrelentingly like some statue. Root shinobi were supposed to be the ultimate soldiers, trained from birth in the way of the shinobi, reduced to heaps of sweat with their training methods, hardened with blood and pain. They felt no fear, no regret, and no remorse. They were but tools to serve their master in his endeavors. They were prepared to lay down their lives for their master with no hesitation whatsoever. Naruto was broken from his thoughts when he heard the proctor ask Sai to display his ninjutsu. Naruto raised an eyebrow as Sai sat on the ground and took a simple scroll, a brush, and a ball of what Naruto figured to be ink. Sai slowly dipped his brush in the black ink, and in the blink of an eye, he had painted a lion on the scroll. Choju Giga, Super Beast Scroll. Sai made a single hand seal, and the drawn tiger on the scroll rose slightly, jumping from it and laying on the ground. The tiger snarled at the proctor, who fell on his butt when he saw the painting come to life. He may be a shinobi, but he had not expected that. Good, the examiner said as he rose to his feet. He searched for the tiger and found him eating the wooden dummies who were mangled by a tiger's vicious jaws. Sumi Bunshin no Jutsu, ink clone, Sai said, and the tiger dispelled into a puddle of ink on the ground. The ink suddenly started moving, clustering together into a large pool. The ink pool started rising from the ground and taking the shape of Sai. Interesting, the proctor murmured to himself as he scribbled down on his board. So that's his ink jutsu, both Hinata and Naruto thought at Sai's performance. He surely was very dynamic and versatile, but his creation seems somewhat fragile. Before we proceed to the team exercise, do you wish to be tested in anything else for extra points? The examiner asked, and everyone shook their heads in denial. Well, actually, I do have another category I would like to be evaluated in, Naruto suddenly said, stopping the proctor in his tracks. Which is Bojutsu, staff arts, Naruto said, and Hinata was surprised that he would bring that up out of everything else. She wondered why he didn't want to be tested in Fuinjutsu, but maybe he had forgotten. The examiner hummed and thought as he thought of someone who could give Naruto what he wanted. Kumo shinobi were primarily skilled in Kenjutsu since a blade was sharper and more effective than a staff. A sword can cut while a staff does not. This statement would be true for a normal staff, and certainly not the one that Naruto had in his possession. I will be right back, the proctor said, and simply left without any explanation, leaving Naruto seem to wonder what had happened. A few minutes later, the proctor returned with another shinobi by his side. He was a young, dark-skinned shinobi with short, spiky white hair and dark eyes accentuated with lines curving upwards from the corners. He wore a dark outfit consisting of an overlong shirt with a hood with red bandaged handguards, kumagakure shin guards, and a black forehead protector. He carried a long sword on his back and had a lollipop in his mouth. Naruto? The shinobi asked in surprise. Omoi, long time no see, Naruto said, greeting the fellow shinobi. You know each other, the examiner asked, and both shinobi nodded. We both participated in training exams 4 years ago, Omoi said while Naruto nodded. I see, the proctor replied. Omoi is here to test you in Bojutsu. Since we have no foremost expert in this area, you'll be sparring against Omoi's Kenjutsu, the examiner explained. If you aren't an expert, how can you evaluate my skills? Naruto asked, curious. I may not be an expert in weapons, but I know enough to understand when someone is skilled or not. Besides, Omoi is one of the best swordsmen in Kumo. Judging from your battle with him, I can evaluate your skill level easily, the proctor explained, and Naruto nodded. The space around Naruto started swirling, and not much longer he had a staff in his right hand. Naruto twirled the staff in his hand, slamming it on the ground, creating a small shockwave from the strength behind it. Omoi raised an eyebrow when he felt the earth vibrate slowly as Naruto slammed his staff to the ground. This is purely a weapons demonstration. No crippling or killing strikes, understood, the examiner asked, and both participants nodded. Omoi took out his sword and gripped it tightly with both hands. Naruto picked up his staff, raising his right arm above his head and lowering his left. He hadn't used his staff since he had mastered the art, and that was nearly 8 years ago. Hajime, the proctor said, and both shinobi dashed forward. Both weapons means with a loud clang. Small orange sparks were released as the sword's sharp edge grazed against Naruto's metal staff, as both shinobi struggled. Being stronger, Naruto was able to push Omoi backwards. Naruto quickly withdrew his staff, spinning behind his back and striking towards Omoi once again. Omoi parried Naruto's flurry of attacks as best he could, but even he was starting to be overpowered. The amount of attacks and the fluidity at which they came was unreal. Naruto wasn't as rusty as he thought himself to be. Omoi stumbled backwards but managed to regain his footing. He looked up just in time to see Naruto in the air. Omoi jumped to the side as Naruto slammed the tip of his staff to the ground, breaking the earth and embedding the staff in it. Using his staff as support, Naruto swirled around and slammed his foot into Omoi's chest, sending him tumbling to the ground. Naruto dug the staff out of the ground and waited for Omoi to stand. Both shinobi dashed forward and their weapons met once again. Kumo Ryu, Mikazu Kigiri, Cloud style, crescent moon slice, Omoi said as he swung his way in a single large crescent moon shaped arc. Naruto tilted backwards and caught the trail of chakra left by the blade. Naruto jumped backwards and flexed his staff forward. The staff suddenly expanded, growing exponentially in size. Omoi never expected the range of Naruto's staff to suddenly increase this rapidly and was unable to dodge. Omoi was struck on his right shoulder, hard enough to send him spinning through the air and landing rather hard on the ground. Omoi rose from the ground, breathing hard and clutching his right shoulder in pain. From his face, Naruto could easily tell he was unprepared for that attack and that his shoulder was most likely dislodged. That is enough, the examiner quickly yelled when he saw the devastating strike Omoi had received. Maybe I got carried away, Naruto chuckled weakly while Hinata just shook her head. Report to the hospital, the proctor said towards Omoi. I can fix him, Hinata said and approached Omoi. Let me see, Hinata said, and her hands glowed green as she analyzed the extent of the damage. Your shoulder is dislocated. This might hurt, Hinata warned while Omoi just groaned. On free, Hinata warned and Omoi nodded. 1, Hinata said and suddenly pushed his shoulder backwards. Omoi gave a yell of pain when he heard his bones snap to place. It was over just as it had begun. I thought you said on free! Omoi gritted his teeth beside relief as Hinata's hands glowed green once more and his pain diminished. Expecting pain only increases it, Hinata simply replied, smiling sweetly. Damn medics, Omoi groaned and fought. Sorry about that, Naruto said, but Omoi waved him off. Congratulations, Naruto-san. You took second place, the proctor said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow as his attention was shifted to the first name on the scoreboard. First place, Saratobi Hiruzen. I didn't know the old man took to joining the exams, Naruto said with surprise in his voice. These exams really are ancient. Sandaime-sama isn't that old, Naruto-kun, Hinata chided while Naruto just chuckled. Anything else before the team exercise, the proctor asked, and this time he was met with complete silence. He waited for a few seconds, but no one changed their minds. The last exercise of the first stage is the team exercise, the proctor said, and led the team into a nearby forest. It was a small forest, but a very dense one. It was obviously prepared for this exam. Now, the proctor started gathering the attention of everyone. The purpose of this exercise is to retrieve a scroll which is located in a small wooden cabin deep within the woods. Along the way, there will be several traps. Deadly ones, I might add, the proctor warned, and everyone nodded. Once you have the scroll, you'll make your way back here. As always, the quicker you do it, the more points you will get awarded. Understood, the proctor asked, and everyone nodded. Do all team members have to participate, Naruto asked curiously. Of course, it's a team exercise after all, the proctor replied confused while Naruto smirked. When you are ready, the proctor said, and then watched as Naruto's team stood at the edge of the forest. This is what we will do, Naruto said, and gathered both Hinata and Sai. You will both stand guard here while I'll go get the scroll, Naruto said, and both team members blinked at him. I'm sorry? Hinata asked, thinking she might have misheard him. You heard what the proctor said. All team members must participate. However, he didn't specify which role, Naruto replied, while Hinata just shook her head. She already knew what he was going to do. Fine, Hinata replied, and Sai simply went with the flow. Go! The proctor yelled, and the three members dashed forward. As they arrived near the first set of trees, both Hinata and Sai stopped running and took cover behind them. Naruto kept running, his Sharingan taking every detail of the surrounding environment. His ears heard whizzing sounds, and he turned his head to the side. Dozens of kunai were flying towards him at high speeds. Naruto smiled and kept running forward. His eyes started glowing and his Kami was activated. What the proctor asked in shock as he watched Naruto keep running and the kunai simply passed through him. Once the kunai were over, his Kami was disabled and Naruto kept on running. It was a straightforward exercise whose point was obviously to trap detection. Naruto lifted his head and saw the small wooden cabin just a few yards away. He smiled and kept on running until he heard a sizzling noise. He looked down and saw the path was riddled with explosive tags. Naruto chuckled and used his Kami and kept going forward. Explosions rocked the ground, and large clouds of smoke rose into the sky. The proctor cringed when he saw Naruto being consumed by the explosions, but was again surprised when he saw him running out of the smoke cloud, completely unharmed. Naruto's eyes caught a ceiling tag at the cabin's door. It was another trap with an explosive tag, but this one, it needed to be disarmed. Otherwise, it would blow up the cabin, scroll included. Naruto smirked and simply phased right through the door using his Kami. I'm done here, the proctor conceded and threw his board at the ground. He gave up trying to understand Senju Naruto. Naruto saw the scroll on the small table and simply took it. He flashed towards Hinata and all three members rushed out of the forest. Time, 42 seconds, the proctor said, shaking his head. He pointed towards the display and saw Naruto's team ranking first with the second team nowhere near. The second best time was nearly 5 minutes. Are we done? Naruto asked and the proctor nodded. Yes. Meet here at 8 for the announcement of which teams will proceed to the second stage, the proctor said, and watch the team leave. They had broken or achieved first place in every single category, barring the obstacle course, but he didn't blame them. When he himself saw some green creatures shouting something about flames of youth, he even considered retirement at 30 years old. Later that evening, everyone had gathered to find out the teams that would proceed. They met up with Lee, Tenta, and Shikamaru, who seemed to also be waiting for the results. How did it go? Hinata asked. Although clearly not as good as you, Tenta replied, pointing to the scoreboards. Lee managed to score enough points in Taijutsu in the obstacle course to be able to proceed. You know Shika. He played his cards and ended up right in the middle of the competition, Tenten said, and Hinata chuckled. At least we all get to go to the second stage, Naruto said, and everyone nodded. Oh well, see you all tomorrow for the next exam. Amagaker, Payne's Tower. Are you sure this is wise? Konan asked towards the only person in the room. Her voice was neutral and perfectly calm, betraying none of her worrying thoughts. In the back of the room, concealed by a shadow, stood a person with a single visible eye. The person was a fair-skinned man with chin-length red hair, with the most notable trait being his single Rinnegan. He didn't look healthy, as he seemed to be severely malnourished, with his ribcage and bone structure openly visible. He had chakra receivers implanted into his back, one in each of his shoulder joints, smaller ones in his forearms, and 2 metal-like screws under his collarbones, near his shoulder joint. This person sat on some machine that appeared to be some type of mechanical walker. It's a dangerous game you are playing, Nagato, Conan warned, but Nagato seemed determined on his course of action. It needs to be done, Nagato simply said. Conan was about to reply when a familiar swirling sound came into the room. From the vortex, Toby or Fugaku walked into the small rays of light coming through the cracks of the room. What are you doing here? Conan asked, her voice back to its neutral tone and her eyes narrowing in slight apprehension. Although she seemed mostly calm on the outside, she was prepared should Toby try anything foolish. Suit up, Toby said, throwing Nagato something whitish in color. Nagato picked up what Toby had thrown, and his eyes widened when he realized what it was. This is... Nagato replied, but was interrupted by Toby. I need you at full strength for this. And that is the end of chapter 52. Bit of a cliffhanger, but hopefully we can get into the next part. And again, I do apologize for the long delay, but Legacy is back, and I hope you guys enjoy me trying to complete this, because I actually do want to finish this when I have the chance to. Anyways, in terms of other stuff, shout out to my Twitter patrons, our patrons, Tidwell and, well, Night Slasher. If you want more so shout outs, I give you my Patreon, which is linked in the description. And shout out to social medias and everything else. And bye-bye. Have a good day, everybody. This has been your boy, MC's coming to you. And let's get to 64K. And that was what I'd say. Bye-bye.
Still gonna fight for what I love, still gonna die for what I love, still gonna try, I won't give up, still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in, I will not